At the Oracle, we had a little competition in Philadelphia, but the Oracles came out. Will Clark threw 5 or 6 unanswered punches that day.
Oh,
yeah, unanswered. And, you know, that's the only time. But all the other Oracles.
Was there a fight?
No, it was a misunderstanding.
Another misunderstanding took place in Game 7 of last year's league championship series when Leonard slid hard into Ozzie Smith, prompting some ill feelings.
Obviously, I don't think he can beat me up. Has my uncle, you know, said, but those things happen. And if he feels that way, I'm sorry that he feels that way, but I still respect him. I think he's probably the greatest shortstop ever. And again, what happened in St. Louis just happened for that period, those few days, and that was it.
Now, your former teammate, Bob Brenly of the Giants, was quoted as saying Jeffrey Leonard is a lot of different people. Some you like, some you don't like. Is that accurate?
That's, yeah, positively accurate. Right. That's, but I think that's in everybody. You know what I mean? Some days you're going to like your wife, and other days you're going to hate her.
Never happened to me.
Oh, okay.
And we will present Mrs. Leonard's point of view at a later date. Jeffrey, don't call me Jeff Leonard of the Milwaukee Brewers, but certainly he is following the plight of his former club. The Giants will be facing the Cardinals in St. Louis. Many of you will see that game with Vince Scully and Joe Garagiola. Some of you will watch the Expos and the Reds from Cincinnati with Bob Costas and Tony Kubek. We'll have updates for you throughout the afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marv Albert in New York. Baseball coming up after these messages.
Tuesday, Chief Gillespie's trapped in a secret war.
Pornography.
He knows who is terrorizing his hometown.
But I got a smart Philadelphia detective here who tells me I ought to go right by the book.
Facing a town that takes the law into its own hands.
It's not going to be that way anymore.
The movie that launched the series in the heat of the night, Tuesday.
Cajon Lincoln Mercury declares July Car Wars Month in the Yakima Valley. We're battling evil high prices with these two 1988 Tempos. Go anywhere, all-wheel drive. And this 1986 Bronco 2 V6 automatic. This 1987 T-Bird V6 automatic, your choice, all for $99.98, $196 a month. Car Wars Buy of the Week, 1984 Eddie Bauer Bronco 2 loaded, $59.98, $59.98. Astronomical savings. Buy now from Cajon Lincoln Mercury, the humanoid friend.
The 24th century continues on Star Trek, The Next Generation. All the drama, the wonder, and excitement of Gene Roddenberry's original Space Odyssey are here in a new age of high adventure. Follow the voyages of the new Starship Enterprise and the lives of her crew on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Channel 23, KNDO, Yakima.
The National Broadcasting Company. Now in its 7th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today, from Busch Memorial Stadium, it's the San Francisco Giants versus the St. Louis Cardinals. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. By Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Napa Auto Parts Stores. Call 1-800-LET-NAPA for the store nearest you.
Hi, everybody. everybody, and a very pleasant good day to you. Welcome to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola, as we await the start of the ball game between the Giants and the Cardinals. What a difference a year makes. A year ago, the Giants had just made a big trade on the 4th of July, and they were on the move. And the Cardinals were the class of the National League East. Now they meet with the Cardinals 15 games behind the Mets, and the Giants 7 games behind the division-leading Dodgers. What happened? Why is it, for instance, that Jeffrey Leonard now finds himself in the uniform of the Milwaukee Brewers? Well, to find out that and more, let's meet Will Clark and go to Joe.
Okay, Vin, we've got the man. Will, in the pregame show, Jeffrey Leonard talks about your dealings with him. Let's call it that for now. One newspaper account called it a confrontation. He said it was a misunderstanding. What was it? Fight, misunderstanding, or confrontation?
I think it was just a misunderstanding. I think when you spend 6, 7, 8 months together with one person, well, not necessarily one person, but a lot of people, you know, you'll tend to rub people wrong every now and then, and that's what happened. I think I rubbed him wrong, and he rubbed me wrong. We just had a little misunderstanding.
Is it all over?
Over and done with. It's a dead issue as far as we're concerned.
Okay, your ball club. Everybody thought you'd run away and hide. You didn't make many changes except for Butler. What's happened? How can you explain this year?
Defense has been playing excellent. Pitching has been doing excellent, and offense has been sporadic, up and down all year long.
They've been pitching around you. Is that one reason the offense is sporadic? What does it do to you?
That's just part of baseball. You know, when you get the guy who's hot, you pitch around him. And what's been happening is I've been just having to deal with what Jack Clark went through last year. We pitched around him. I think he came in the Candlestick one time for a 4-game series, and we gave him 4 at-bats in 4 games. So, you know, all you can do is just take your walks and go down to first base and try to win a ball game from there.
Good luck to you, Will.
Thank you.
That would be nice to have somebody pitch around you, Vin. I wonder what it feels like.
So that's the Giants side of the coin, perhaps explaining why they find themselves 7 games behind the league-leading Dodgers and 2 games behind the second-place Houston Astros. But what about the champion Cardinals? I guess everybody knows they've been decimated by injuries, but maybe there's more to it. What better man to talk to then would be the shortstop, Ozzie Smith. And once again, let's get back to Joe.
Okay, Vin. Ozzie, 1 year it's a league championship series. This year you're fighting to stay out of the basement. How can you explain this year?
Well, Joe, you know, I think baseball, we've played baseball long enough to know that sometimes the harder you look for answers, the more they seem to elude you. This year, you know, you take a couple serious injuries, which we were able to fight through last year. You take key people not being in there, Terry Pendleton namely, and it takes away from your offense. We lost Jack Clark over the winter, and those things have seemed to mount it. Without
1 year you lost Bruce Sutter, and you overcame it. You cannot overcome Jack Clark?
Well, let me say that you can overcome it, but you have to do so many of the other things right. You have to bulk the numbers as far as pitching is concerned, as far as offense is concerned. You have to get more production from your offensive people, which we have not been able to do.
One quick answer. You in a trade rumor, does that boggle your mind?
No, it doesn't really boggle my mind. It's all part of the game, Joe, and you know, I've been traded before, and rumors started the same way, so you never know.
Well, you never know, Vin.
So you never know. That's a word to the wise. It's a pattern here in the National League. We've not had repeat winners since 1977 and 1978. The Giants know. The Cardinals know. You can't count on 1 year's success rolling over to the next. We'll get to the starting lineups. We'll have all the pregame stats and stories all coming up right after this.
Priced an imported car lately? You could be in for import sticker shock. Or a pleasant surprise at your Buick dealer, Buick Century. It's actually priced under smaller imports like Toyota Camry Deluxe and Honda Accord DX. It's loaded with standard features, like room for 6, stereo, even a real trunk. That's more car for the money. That's the value of a Century.
You gotta stop and taste the high life. Take a hard-earned break every now and again. Stop and taste the high life. Kick back and drink it in. Spend some time just finding out what you're working for, what it's all about.
Miller High Life, brewed to be smooth, never bitter. Takes time to make, time to enjoy. places where you can look for an auto part. But here's where you'll find it. Napa has parts for imports and other hard-to-find parts. So come to Napa first. We've got your part.
A legend has been created. A better battery for the future. Better with more reserve power. Better with a warranty that lasts over 6 years. Better with a special $10 rebate available right now. The legend from Napa. A better battery.
Get up and go. The preceding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Here's the way the Giant lineup stacks, with Brett Butler opening up in center field and Robbie Thompson at second base. Will Clark at first and Candy Maldonado, who's been rested a couple of days, in right field. Mike Aldretti in left field. Ernest Riles, a last-minute substitution. We have no word from Roger Craig if there's anything wrong with Kevin Mitchell, but Riles is in there. Bob Melvin, the catcher, Jose Uribe, the shortstop, and Adley Hamaker, the pitcher. For the Cardinals, Bob Force, the 38-year-old right-hander, 4-3, 0-1 against the Giants this year, and 7-9 lifetime. Been a long time for him. He hadn't beaten the Giants since July of 1980. He's lost 4 straight. Brett Butler with a 10-game hitting streak to start it off. Then Robbie Thompson and Will Clark. Comebacker. So for the umpteenth time, Joe, we've seen a leadoff man walk up and hit the first pitch.
That's one of the big things about baseball changing. You can talk about that, running, stealing a base with whatever the score is and hitting that first pitch. As we take a look at the defense, the outfield, McGee's the big man in center field. Coleman's been giving him good left field. And, of course, in the infield, Oquendo looks like he's won that second base job. Elisea was given the job. He's been struggling. Oquendo played when Pendleton was out and looks like he is Whitey's second baseman.
Robbie Thompson, the batter, and he takes ball 1. 1-0 to Robbie. Will Clark hitting back of him. Thompson's .299 average leads the ball club. He was a member of the All-Star team, but unable to participate. He had a pinched nerve in his lower back. Hit wide of third. A great save by Pendleton. A one-hopper to Pagnozzi. Fine play.
There is the classic artificial surface play. The ball gets to you quicker, but the hop is true. And now on grass, I don't believe he makes the play because he bounces it, but when it hits that artificial surface, it just takes off. And Concepcion was the guy who first started it, and it really paid off. That's why the Cardinals miss a guy like Pendleton, plays like that.
Gary Pendleton has 1 Gold Glove in his career. Ozzie Smith has 8. Willie McGee has 3. And Tony Pena has 3 Gold Gloves, although the Cardinal catcher is not playing today. So here's Will Clark. You might notice he has a trace of a mustache. What happened was a little over a week ago, they were looking through some pages of the Olympic squad, and the Giants noticed that Clark had a mustache. So they said to him, "Con, Will, you ought to grow one." He said to Craig Lefferts, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll grow one if you'll shave yours off." So Lefferts said, "I'll give you a week for the mustache to grow, and if you stay with it for 2 weeks, I'll shave mine off." So there's a little game going on as Clark, mustache and all, strikes out. And at the end of half an inning, the Giants nothing, and the Cardinals coming up.
I was known as a smart football player, and even now when I'm enjoying a great tasting Miller Lite, I use my head.
Well, how's that, Gary?
For great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
10-ounce
ounces of Armor All Protectant for just $169. And light your home with the Intermatic Timer for $388.
They help you find the thing, then they show you how to use it. Hey, let me tell you, Ace is the place for me.
Does car shopping confuse you? If you've shopped, and I have, you'll find the one place where the confusion ends is your Buick dealer. That's why I just bought a brand new Buick Regal. Regal is actually priced under T-Bird and Cougar. The new Regal just looks like it costs thousands more. So don't get confused. Shop where you like, but start at your Buick dealer. The car is Regal, but the price sure isn't.
If you're a business person and you're making a long-distance call, to call your customer, to call your supplier, before you hit that 11th digit, we've mapped out that entire call across the network, irrespective of where you're calling. You've got 21 different paths to get there. Okay, that's important from a reliability point of view. We've checked the quality of the circuit you're going to be on before you actually start speaking. We've done a service check. We're actually doing 75 million service checks per day, because that's how many calls we complete. I don't think most people realize that.
Well, fancy this. Faucets, so fabulous, they appear to cost a fortune, but don't. For these are Price Vista faucets. Far more than pretty faces, they're forged with a heart of solid brass, so you'll discover they're very fuss-free. All this at prices that make them a find, a real find. So do yourself a favor. Get a Price Vista, the fabulous faucet with a funny name.
The Cardinals, who find themselves 15 games behind the New York Mets, will have Vince Coleman leading off in left field and Ozzie Smith at short. Willie McGee in center field. Tom Brunansky in the cleanup spot in right. Terry Pendleton at third base. Jose Oquendo, last night's hero, at second. Tom Pagnozzi at first. Steve Lake will give Tony Pena a bit of a day off. And Bob Porsche on the mound, and trying to get him out, Atlee Hammaker. 4-3. He is 0-1 as a starting pitcher, and he is 3-3 lifetime against the Cardinals. It's a completely different year for him. He's made only 3 starts this year. Last year, he made 27. He's been in the bullpen. Vince Coleman leading off, and Robbie Thompson perhaps talking about Hammaker, the fact that Coleman has 7 bunt singles this year. So if he lays one down, look out.
He pushes it past the pitcher. He doesn't try to drop the bunt. At least he has not been doing that. He pushes it past the pitcher and races to the bag, and he's been winning.
Outside, ball 1. Hammaker has had a sore elbow. In fact, he was supposed to pitch yesterday, and Craig gave him the extra day's rest. They've been working on that left arm for about a week. Popped up on the right side, and it'll be Will Clark. One away.
If you look at the defense, the key man in an outfield obviously has to be Butler, because he's going to have to cover some ground. Already, I would say, average outfielder. And that infield, when you look at Uribe at shortstop, there are people who will tell you he's just the best shortstop on the field today. And, of course, we're talking about a comparison between him and Ozzie Smith. Mitchell has a bad knee, and so Riles is playing.
Ozzie Smith, the shortstop. 1 ball and no strikes. A one-hopper banged right at Uribe. The one takes care of the other, and with that, 2 out. Will Clark made a very good point, and it's interesting. We're always talking about whether it's a lively ball or what have you. Last year, you had 2 strong offensive teams, and one of the big problems this year is the fact they're not scoring. Case in point, the Cardinals weren't shut out last year until the 113th game. They've already been shut out 10 times this year, and only 4 times the entire season last year.
Whitey was almost making a speech in the clubhouse about that.
0-1.
He was saying, this time last year, we had scored more runs than anybody in both leagues. And he said, look at us now. He said, we're not doing anything. And he was complaining about the lack of doubles.
And, of course, the Giants can say, well, we have somewhat the same trouble. They've been shut out 9 times already this year. They were shut out 8 times all of last year. The biggest difference, of course, for San Francisco and for Roger Craig, the lack of the home run ball. So where Whitey murmurs about doubles, Craig has to wonder about the home run. Last year, the Giants had 205 home runs. If you project their home runs this year, they're going to hit 125.
That hurts.
Boy, a big fall-off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
In Whitey discussing the doubles, I said, elaborate on that. What does it mean to you as a manager? And obviously, you know that the man is in scoring position when he hits a double, but to a manager, at least to Whitey, he said that means we're not knocking anybody in from first base. And that's what you have to do.
1-2 to count to Willie McGee. Fouled away. You know, Whitey the other day was quoted as saying, Los Angeles, the Dodgers, will win the West, which, of course, will not sit well with San Francisco, but Whitey just felt that the Dodgers, who gave them a pretty bad time this year. Meanwhile, the Giants and Cardinals have split their 10 meetings. 1-2. 2-2.
Whitey's got to be looking to help himself next year at first base. They've had at least 10 guys there. Second base has been a problem. He's got O'Kendall there now in the bullpen. Not what it has been.
And McGee chases it and goes down. So the Cardinals tiptoe through the first. And at the end of an inning, the Giants nothing and the Cardinals nothing.
You're on the road to the top. There's no time to stop. You're gonna make your dreams come true. Here's your address for success, Park Avenue. It's your room with the view. It's your road to command. Every dream feels like Park Avenue. The great American road belongs to Buick.
After a long day of eating hot lead, there's nothing better than drinking a cold Miller Lite. Light sure tastes great, and it really is less filling.
Shoot, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Hey, Joe, give me another. That didn't fill me up at all.
Why do so many people choose GMAC financing to get the GM car or truck of their dreams? GMAC makes it easy. You do it all right at your GM dealers. And we make it easy on your budget with rates and terms to fit your needs. Don't just dream about a new GM car or truck. See your GM dealer about GMAC financing. Official sponsor of America's Dream.
Next Sunday, live from Wembley Stadium, the San Francisco 49ers battle the Miami Dolphins. American football from jolly old England and NBC Sports.
2 weeks ago today at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the Giants walloped the Cardinals 21-2. The interesting thing in the box score is the number 3 hitter for the Giants, Chris Spire. He hit for the cycle with those 5 hits. The second time in his career he did it in Montreal 10 years ago. He's the 3rd player to hit for the cycle with 2 teams, joining Babe Herman with the Dodgers and Cubs, Joe Cronin with the Senators and Red Sox. So kind of a milestone game, and you see Bob Forsch appeared in that game, as did Atlee Hammaker. Joel Youngblood and Chris Spire. Spire sitting back, and now we get to the age. So that's a pretty good definition of Chris Spire's background and about hitting for the cycle.
It's a pretty good name for Spire to be up there with.
Hell. Candy Maldonado, who's been struggling this year. It has even affected his fielding. He's dropped a fly ball along the way. He was rested, hoping that he'd come back with a spark. But he has struggled since the last week in June. Ground ball to shortstop. Ozzie will take care of it. 1 away.
You know, when you were talking about the Giants and the drop-off in the home runs, I don't know how you could check it out, but, boy, I remember last year reading almost every game the Giants won. Maldonado, a pinch hit, a base hitter. He got a key hit. Almost every time he got a base hit, he was winning ball games.
And Jeffrey Leonard. Of course, it's interesting, too, and you see that's the fall-off, and we projected the Giants to wind up hitting 125. Mike Aldretti is taken over in left field for Leonard. 1 ball and no strikes. Interesting, the Giants win their division, and they trade Leonard away. The Cardinals win their division. They trade Tommy Herr away for Tom Brunansky. Right. Aldretti hit his 3rd home run the 10th of July against Danny Cox. And for the last 3 weeks, he's done well. 14 RBIs, hitting .311 over that stretch. He's a good hitter. Foul ball down the line, out of play, 1-2 to count.
He really has a good idea in that batter's box, the way he goes up, his approach to hitting. In fact, his approach to everything. When he talks about, everybody coming up, how's it feel to replace Leonard and all that, he said, look, I'm replacing the position, not the man. And that pretty well says it.
Fouled away. Well, I went to school at Stanford, facing 38-year-old Bob Forge, who's from Sacramento. Tomorrow, Rick Russell will go against Jose De Leon. Russell has certainly been a bright spot. Rick 12-5 going into that game tomorrow for San Francisco. Ground ball to first. Pagnosi will bring it to the bag. 2 down.
Bob Forge is one of those guys, when he's got his good stuff, you like to see him on getaway day. He doesn't fool around. He throws a lot of strikes. Infielders are ready to make plays, as are the outfielders, and you don't see him falling behind too much.
You were talking about Chris Fire linking his name to some big names. Same thing for Bob Forge now. He needs 30-some-odd strikeouts. He will pass Dizzy Dean.
That's incredible.
Boy, you're really in company in St. Louis when you pass Dizzy Dean. Right. Also, this is Forge's 15th consecutive year with the Cardinals. Only Musial 22, Haynes 18, Gibson 17, and Brock 16, along with Shane Dean's 15. Played more years in a Redbird uniform.
That's the thing that's gone by the board, that's staying with one ball club. I mean, the best proof of that is Quisenberry, who's now here with the Cardinals, who got a lifetime contract with Kansas City. So I guess they just declared him legally dead and traded him.
Well, in fact, you're really right, because Quisenberry, when he was in Kansas City, said, I'm not the long man, I'm not the short man, I'm a dead man. And maybe that's what he meant. His lifetime was gone. Drive down the left field line, base hit, and Riles on his way. Ernest Riles gets a double. You know, it was Riles who had the big home run in Giant history. He had a home run at Candlestick. The 10,000th home run in the franchise history, counting New York, of course, and San Francisco. But what a rhubarb envelop. Brunansky fielded the ball. It had hit the facing of the upper deck. Brunansky picked it up and threw it into the stands, and a man had it with his little daughter, and the daughter, about 3 or 4 years old, was holding the ball. Another man rushed over and said, I'll give you $30 for the ball. Gave him the money, took the ball. Now everybody finds out it's the 10,000th. What a mess. Oh, terrible. Bob Melvin, ball 1.
And when you stop to think of it, with all the great names in Giant history, Mel Ott, Harry Danny, Ernie Lombardi, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Ernest Riles, who just was traded in the Jeffrey Leonard deal, hits the 10,000.
Well, what's in the name? He riled up the crowd, I'll tell you that, along with the historians, because there was some dispute that it was even the 10,000. So he hit a very noisy home run in the Bay. Ernest Riles playing for Kevin Mitchell, who has a sore knee. Melvin trying to pick him up. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out in the second, no score. Fouled away, 1-2. You know, in talking about Forge and his longevity with the Cardinals, we should also point out only Davy Concepcion, 18 years, Mike Schmidt, 16 years, have played longer for one team among current National Leaguers. And all Major League pitchers, he leads them with 14 consecutive seasons of service with the same team. So it's quite a story. 1-2 to Melvin. 2-2.
You know, when you stop to think about that, Ben, it's really something that baseball has lost. I mean, when you grew up, you got the bubblegum card of your favorite guy. My guy happened to be Medrick. I couldn't get enough of his cards. Now you can get a favorite player, and you can get him in 7 different teams.
Last year's cheer is this year's boo.
That's right.
2-2 to Melvin. And looped into center field, base hit, charging McGee. And he's going to make a high throw, bad throw, and Melvin allowed to go to second base. I don't know what Willie was thinking about on that throw.
Oh, that's one. If you do that in the American Legion, the coach will make you run around the field 4 or 5 times because he just threw a real alley-oop. Nobody could cut it off. I mean, I don't think Manute Bol could have gotten that one. And Lake, watch how high he throws it. It's hard to figure out what he's trying to do. There's no reason for this. He's got no play at the plate. He's got to hit the cutoff man, and I mean, it's not even close. Over everybody, and even Forsch has to play it off the wall.
Interesting, too, because they're going to give McGee an error, but it wouldn't make any mistake whether it was an error or not. It was a mental error because Melvin would have gone to second on that throw, even if it was caught at home plate.
He had to hit that cutoff man. That's just, as I say, you don't do that in American Legion ball.
Willie has to be embarrassed. It is 1-0 San Francisco. Jose Uribe now trying to get Bob Melvin home. Giants leading 1-0. Giants and Cardinals have split the previous 10. Giants won 4 out of 6 at Candlestick. Cardinals have won 3 out of 4 here. Good save by Steve Lake.
And Bob Forsch, when he finishes, he does 2 things that the young pitcher can really study. Watch when he comes set where he stops. I mean, for him, it's a comfortable position, but he's really in control. He doesn't really go to his belt, and then his follow-through, looks like he's perfectly balanced to where he can go either way. Like on that particular pitch, he just charged the plate and got to the ball before Lake did.
14 years in the big leagues with the Cardinals, Bob Forsch. And that's hammered to right. Brunansky going back. It's over his head, but he's going to catch up to it. So Jose Uribe, a long out to right field. For the Giants, they get 1 run, 2 hits. There was an error and a man left. And at the end of an inning and a half, Giants 1, Cardinals nothing.
What would you get if you crossed an Oldsmobile like this with an Oldsmobile like this? You get an Oldsmobile that really cooks.
Now, save up to $1,440 on a new specially equipped Cutlass Calais. See your Olds dealer for details today.
The opening of the new movie Caddyshack 2, the Miller Brewing Company held a private screening for the critics.
A sensitive and moving drama. Stimulating on many levels.
Richly rewarding. Is there any money in it for me? Miller's rewarding movie ticket offer makes Caddyshack 2 a must-see. Look for details wherever Miller High Life, Light, and Genuine Draft are sold, and stock up.
I just love openings.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
Sir, express pack, please. Wendy's new express pack is for people in cars, and you don't have a car. Well, that means I just wasted $15 on a lube job.
Pick up the express pack. Quarter-pound single with the works. Fries and soft drink at Wendy's.
Unser, Andretti, Mears, racing so hot it'll bake the Big Apple. Sunday.
We're looking at Willie McGee, who made that throw. It was interesting to watch him go into the dugout, and I think that's another change in baseball, Vin. I know I've been on ball clubs at the veteran, and Willie's been around here a while, that somebody would have jumped him a little bit. Not necessarily the manager or the coaches, but somebody would have said something. But he just sat down, and he's there alone with his thoughts, and then tried to figure it out. If you see Pena and Vince Coleman flanking him, I guarantee you, I know if Terry Moore was on his ball club, he'd have said something.
Maybe it was just such a visible, obvious error, there really isn't much to say to him, but I guess you still think he should be reminded, huh?
Well, reminded as Uribe comes up with an easy play now. But to let him know, I can remember Terry, that's why holler guy and a leader is really a different thing. Holler guy looks at the scoreboard and will tell you 1 out. Terry would come in on the Cardinal ball club, and he would have said, what are you thinking about doing that? If you're going to throw like that, put the ball in your pocket or something. And I can remember any number of times. But now, as you say, it's well, it's obvious. He knows what he did, so let's let him alone.
And that's a fellow's won 3 Gold Glove. Talking about gold gloves, Terry Pendleton has one, and he made a dazzling play in the first inning to take a base hit away from Robbie Thompson. Right, 0-1. Even though Whitey Herzog was quoted as saying the Dodgers figure to win the West, the Giants are not going to believe it, and of course if you study history you can understand. 1-1 to count. First of all, if you look at the schedule, the Giants play the Dodgers 14 more times, including 4 games coming up during the week. Right. 1 and 2. Now, that's the schedule of 14. You know, in 1986, Houston and Cincinnati had the same record against all other 10 teams. But Houston beat Cincinnati 14 out of 18, and they went into the League Championship Series. So there's a lot to be decided yet, and the history book really emphasizes it. 1 and 2. That got him on the side of the helmet. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pendleton all right. Whenever the Giants and the Dodgers play close to the best, it's really interesting. The only close races between the Giants and Dodgers where the Dodgers won. 1965 when they won by 2. 1966 when they won by 1.5 over the Giants. And there have been 4 rather remarkable years where the Giants and the Dodgers came down to the wire. 51, the most famous. The Dodgers had a 13.5 game lead in August. And that was the year of the famous Bobby Thompson home run. Chopper slowly wide of third. Big hop. And Riles pulls Clark off the ball.
That last hop is what threw him off. It looked like Uribe was going to make the play all along, and then Riles cut in front, and he should. The last hop kind of gets to him. Watch that last one as it kind of kangaroos. There it goes, and that's where he loses his balance. And it's a bit off balance when he throws his sails, and you can see Clark off the bag, and he misses the tag.
So Ernest Riles handling a big hopper wide of third. It'll be an error. Although it's hard to believe because you could see when he went up the ladder to get that bouncer, his entire rhythm was thrown off. Fly ball to straightaway center by Jose Aquindo, and Brett Butler's there to handle it for the second out. Just to get back to the history books for a minute, in 51 when Thompson hit that home run, the Giants were down 4-1 in the 9th inning of that game. In 1962, the Dodgers were out in front, won only 3 of their last 13 games. San Francisco tied the Dodgers on the final day, and San Francisco won the playoff 2-1. They were down 4-2 in the 9th inning. 1971, it was the Giants out in front. They were breezing 8.5 in front on September 5th. On the 14th, they were 1 in front. They hung on and won by 1. And then in 1982, San Francisco beat the Dodgers 4 out of 6 on the last 2 weekends. L.A. eliminated San Francisco in the process. San Francisco eliminated Los Angeles in the process on a home run by Joe Morgan, and Atlanta won. The point being that in July, a 7-game deficit between the Giants and the Dodgers doesn't mean anything.
August is always the big month.
Line drive at Robbie Thompson. So Tom Pagnozzi lines out. Pendleton is left on the error. And at the end of 2, it's 1-0 in favor of the Giants. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
What's spookier than being in a haunted house?
You was scared, or do you have to go potty?
Being trapped there with a killer.
You hear that?
Hi, tonight.
Danny DeVito!
You must be a drug dealer.
No, I'm a TV producer.
That was close.
The Toast of Tinseltown! Sexy Starlet!
Why don't you pick me up at night?
Rich and famous friends!
Oh, Johnny Carson.
Everything you need to be a hit!
Broads, horny guys, sex jokes, the works.
Everything except ratings! Rhea Perlman, Danny DeVito, The Ratings Game!
Saturday at noon, this empty, quiet space will come alive.
Round, round, get around, I get around.
With Lynch Motors Beach Party Sale at the fairgrounds. Low prices on fantasy vans loaded with style. Beautiful Bayliner boats from Del Rancho Marine. Trucks like you won't believe. Specially priced truck boat combo and the best body on the beach, this Honda CRX SI. Plus sale price sailboards from the Sport House with free dry land training and a chance to win a cruise for two to Victoria. Make it early to the Beach Boys concert for the Lynch Beach Party Sale. But you'll have to wait till noon Saturday.
I'm Bob Scully, president of the National Association of Police Organizations. This is a police evidence room. These handguns were seized from criminals. Ironically, many were stolen from homes of law-abiding citizens who originally purchased them for protection. You can help prevent criminals from using your handgun to commit violent crimes. If you have a handgun in your house, keep it locked up and stored away from your valuables. Be sure to record the serial number and help us keep handguns out of the wrong hands.
Channel 23, KNDO, Yakima.
Well, the old expression, around the horn. Let's take a look at the American League and skim a little cream off the top. The Red Sox, 9-0 under Joe Morgan. Jim Rice suspended 3 days for a shoving match in the dugout. The Yankee-Seattle trade. Jay Buhner, a pitcher and a player to be named later for Ken Phelps. They wanted a left-handed bat, obviously, in the Yankee Stadium. Frank Viola on a tear, undefeated, I believe, at home, and his record now 16-2.
Then the key line to me there is that trade. The reason I say that, before the game, Al Rosen is here. He's talking to Al Lamacchia of Toronto. Don Scala's here. Pittsburgh, they're talking. Jerry Stevenson of the Dodgers. You can't take anything for granted.
And I think one reason, too, is the Giants' remarkable success on the July 4th trade, the big deal with San Diego, and the fact that they made that deal with Pittsburgh last year.
And, of course, that rumor of Ozzie Smith going to the Yankees.
Oh, well, that's totally and completely unfounded because I was there when it all started, and it had nothing to do with the trade.
During the Army, that'd be a latrine rumor, huh?
Little chopper hit slowly to short, and Ozzie Smith makes the play. 1 down. Let's get an update talking about Joe Morgan and the 9-0 Red Sox. We'll go to New York.
This is Marv Albert in New York at Fenway in the 5th. Red Sox have come from behind. They lead the White Sox now 7-5. This the key play off the base hit by Jody Reed. Dwight Evans tearing around third. And with a catcher, Mark Salas dropped the throw. Evans able to score. Red Sox now in front 7-5. Back to Vin and Joe.
Morgan Magic continues with that 9-0 record. That's quite a story.
Oh, that is. That Morgan, I tell you. And it was interesting that 3-day suspension of Jim Rice, because here's a big star, and he grabbed the manager, and boom, they lowered the boom.
The story that I read, the thing that really ticked Rice off was where and when he was hit for. The bunt by Butler, he's got a chance. Yep, a collision with Pendleton and Forsch, and Butler has himself a base hit, and he's hit in 11 straight. The story was that Rice had been in the on-deck circle and was walking up to home plate when they called him back and sent up Spike Owens to bunt for him. And as I got the story anyway in the papers, that Rice was furious that a man of his stature in the community would be allowed not only to be on deck, but to walk towards home plate. And he came back, expressed his feelings. Next thing you know, the rhubarb and a 3-day suspension.
And Spike Owen, they put a hit-and-run play on, so he swung away, which must have ticked him off, thinking putting this guy in. But then you just don't go around grabbing managers. You do that, and you're going to get exactly that.
Here's Robbie Thompson, robbed of a hit by Terry Pendleton. 1 ball and no strikes. Frank Cooley, the plate umpire. Randy Marsh, Dana DeMuth, and Dutch Rennert working the line.
Lake has a good arm behind the plate, and Forsch gives you a chance to throw some runners out, although Butler's able to get himself a pretty good lead. You can see Lake was checking the bench for some help, and he's going to draw the throw. Lake has thrown out 4 out of 7, 57%, and this day and age, that's pretty good. He hadn't played that much, but his reputation is good arm.
So Butler taking his lead. Butler has stolen 22, so they really have to keep an eye on him. Giants leading 1-0. Interesting that the Cardinals would have to keep an eye on somebody. The Cardinals have stolen 141 bases. It looks like they're going to steal 200 bases for 6 straight years, which they've done. The last club to do it 7 straight Detroit back in 1909 through 15, so the Cardinals should tie that record. And when the Cardinals run, they really run. They have stolen 6 bases in a game 5 times this year. So maybe the Giants are going to try and take a page from their book.
You know, when you watch runners, different things you look for. Now, when Butler took his lead, you saw him dig in with his left foot and then kind of lean back towards first base. There he's digging in, leaning back, same thing. See him kind of leaning towards the bag? He's got an idea. Like if I were Lake, I'd be really looking for him to go.
2 balls and 1 strike. That would appear to be a manager's count. And Robbie Thompson taking a long look at Bill Fahey.
He did cut down his lead with his throws over there because Butler was able to get in there standing up. And you see Fahey flashing signs.
There he goes. And it's fouled away. So the ideal hit and run count, 2 balls, 1 strike. Robbie fouls it off. When I say ideal, 2 and 1, if you're a catcher, do you always feel that's deprived you of a pitch out 2 and 1?
It's deprived you as the catcher most of the times for a pitch out. If you call it, you almost have to ask permission. Look at that bench and say, hey, can I pitch out? And I'd say 9 out of 10 times the manager says no, unless he is absolutely sure. Roger, of course, is great for pitch outs. Whitey not as much. And Lake looking for help, but I'm sure Whitey's going to say, hey, you're on your own.
2 and 2 the count to Robbie Thompson. 1-0 in favor of the Giants. We're in the top of the 3rd. Cardinals winning the last 2, and the Cardinals have won 4 straight. Craig and the Giants have lost 2 straight.
You can see Lillis timing the move by Forsch. He's got that stopwatch on his wrist.
And there goes the runner. Strike 3. Lake down to Oquendo, not in time as he took the throw way up in front of the bag.
It was a good hard throw, but Kendall takes it in front of the bag and also to the shortstop side. If it's to the first base side, he's got a chance to make the play. Lake gets something on this, but watch where Oquendo catches that ball. Here's where he loses it in front of that bag, and now he's got to come back, and it's too late. He's got to straddle that bag, and that ball's going to get there, and you just drop that glove.
So Oquendo can't get him, and Butler steals his 23rd. And now here is Will Clark. It will be interesting to see if Forsch even pitches to him. Clark has been walked intentionally 15 times this year.
It's a matter of Forsch. It would surprise me that he would give him a ball to hit or even give him a strike.
0-1 to count. Clark has walked 64 times. And he's in a spot to hurt. He leads the National League in those walks with 15 intentional. And it's a lazy pop fly into shallow center. Here comes McGee. And that's it. So they pitch to Clark, and they get him. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 2.5 innings, Giants 1, Cardinals nothing.
I was known as a smart football player. And even now, when I'm enjoying a great tasting Miller Lite, I use my head.
Well, how's that, Gary?
For great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
All of this for hundreds of dollars less than Celica, 200SX, and Prelude. The dust is settling.
Somehow there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Hey, step up to the mic.
Mike.
Micazin. This cures athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Myconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Yes? You got something that cures athlete's foot?
Sure, step up to the mic.
Huh?
Mycotin. It cures athlete's foot.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Mycotin, also in deodorant spray.
Quaker State with QSX. How do you make a motor oil this good? You test it in the lab. You test it under the hood. You test it on the track.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. Want to make your pulse race? Come see the Quaker State Porsche race in the Quaker State 500 at Pocono Raceway, Sunday, August 21st. Call 1-800-RACEWAY.
Scott Emerson once had a heart attack. Today, he had a son. Studies show aspirin can help prevent a second heart attack. Ask your doctor about a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Number 25, catcher Steve Lake.
It'll be Steve Lake, followed by Bob Porsche and then Vince Coleman. And once again, we remind our viewers, we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game. Lake giving Tony Pena a rest, although Whitey said before the ball game, don't be surprised if Pena isn't in there before it's through. Lake has done pretty well in 9 starts.
Talk about taking a swing with your head in the stands. There it was. He was looking straight up when he swung at that, almost like he was guessing fastball belt high. It happened to be low and outside.
0-1. Foul tip. No balls, 2 strikes to count. The Cardinals have been so inconsistent even in the last few years, never mind this year. Champions in 82, and they finished 4 under 500 in 83. 4-1. National League champions in 85. They finished 3 games under 500. 28 and a half games behind the Mets. And now this year, coming off last year, they come into the game 15 games and just 2 out of the cellar. A drive to right field, and Maldonado was overshifted. That's down the line. And Lake is into second base standing with a double. So the tying run is in scoring position.
He did not try to pull the ball. When he got the 2 strikes, he shortened up on his swing, and they were really pulled around, as you said, Ben. Now watch him just kind of poke at this. He doesn't take that big, hard swing. He just reaches out and hits it to the opposite field. And I'll tell you, if you're going to stack your defense to make a fella pull, you better pitch to where he has to pull that ball. But he got that ball outside, Hammaker did. And what Lake did was just reach out and punch it to where nobody was.
Now the Giants are looking bunt. They pull up the corners, both Riles and Clark. And Hammaker working on Bob Force, who's a pretty good hitting pitcher.
He got a chance for maybe a pickoff at second if he tries to bunt and misses it.
1 ball and no strikes to count. Force so far this year has sacrificed 3 times. Force last year had 2 home runs and hit just under 300. And he's going to get the bunt foul and the count 1-1. In fact, last year, he won the National League Silver Slugger Award for the 2nd time in his career. So he's pretty handy with that bat.
He's a good athlete, Forsh. You know, Riles, the third baseman, is all third baseman in this situation. He knows he's going to get the ball punted to him, but he's got to keep an eye on that base runner, Lake. And Riles has really turned to where he's almost 2-eyeballing the base runner.
1 ball and 1 strike to count. Well, they got the bunt down, and they're going to let it roll foul. That was a good judgment call by Ernest Riles to shy away from it. 1-2. So Riles spinning out of the way and judged it correctly.
There you see that position. Now he's watching everything. Now he sees the ball is bunted, and he looks like he's going to make the play, and then he says, uh-oh, I'm going to let it go. And that was a good judgment.
1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Good play by Riles. Now we'll see about Force, whether he's swinging. Clark backs up a couple of steps. Riles plays up inside the bag at third again, however. And he plays catty corner. 1-2. And he got it down anyway. Riles committed himself, so Hammaker has to go to first. Riles tried to get back to the bag, but the play was over. So the sacrifice worked.
And Lake broke just a minute that Force got that bat on the ball. He didn't wait to see where it was going, and Riles was really in no man's land. Good bunt by Force, who wasn't so intent on making the third baseman feel it as he was getting that ball on the ground. Good play.
So force does his job. He gets his man over, and now we'll see about Vince Coleman. It is 1-0 in favor of San Francisco. Bottom of the third. The Giants now pull the infield up with Coleman at the plate. Coleman hitting right around 260 as a right-handed batter and over 280 left-handed.
This is where Whitey has really done most of the complaining. We can't drive a run in with less than 2 outs.
One and 0 the count. Coleman backed up by Ozzie Smith. Little foul off to the right out of play, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. The Cardinals are under 500 at home and under 500 on AstroTurf. And for good measure, they're under 500 against left-hand pitching.
Coleman, then with men in scoring position, only 20% effective. He's had 90 possible RBIs, driven in 18. So you can see why Whitey's complaining.
1-1 to Vince. Fouled away, 1-2. Hammaker, with a 2-strike count, could not put Bob Forsch away. He is not a strikeout pitcher now. In fact, his high is strikeout 6 against Cincinnati. 1-2 the count to Coleman.
Looks like the catcher's kind of set up this pitch to go on the 2-2 count for the pitch of decision, but Hammaker says no.
Fastball got him looking. So Hammaker surprising Vince Coleman, to say the least, with a fastball right in there for strike 3.
That was an interesting battle because you saw Melvin, Hammaker definitely shook him off as if Melvin was saying, well, let's use this pitch to set it up. And Hammaker says no, and he went after him. And once again, less than 2 outs, they don't knock in that run.
No finesse, just came right in with the hard stuff, and Coleman caught looking. And now Ozzie Smith, and they're still worrying about a bunt with Smith at the plate. Riles is right in near the bag at third.
Ozzie has said he's had trouble uppercutting the ball. He doesn't like that. So what he's done is he's holding the bat a little bit higher, almost eye level, before he drops it down to begin his swing to hope to hit through the ball as opposed to uppercutting it.
He's been hitting pretty well of late, 9 of 11. And he has over 100 hits this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's 1-0 San Francisco, bottom of the third with 2 outs. One run, 3 hits, and an error for the Giants. No runs, 1 hit, an error for the Cardinals. Interestingly enough, the error charged to McGee on a terrible throw is the first error this year charged to a Cardinal outfielder because of a throw.
Huh. Well, I tell you, it was a major league error. If there is such a thing.
Now.
Because that was an American Legion job if I ever saw one.
Check swing foul. 1-2. So Hammaker went 1-2 to Coleman and struck him out with a fastball. And we'll see now if Ozzie's trying to think along with him and figure he's going to try and do that to him. Smith grounded to short in the first inning. Ozzie's opening up a restaurant here. Westport. I think it'll be open in February of next year.
Ozzie is really a conglomerate is what he is. Yeah. He's got a lot of things going, man.
A holding company. A Gold Glove holding company. You got 8 Gold Gloves. Run is 90 feet away with 2 out in the third. 1-0 Giants. Big chopper foul outside of third. Still 1-2. On deck, Willie McGee. The Cardinals began their year going 7-14. They hit a stretch where they played well. They won 25 and lost 12. And early in June, they took 2 out of 3 from the Mets, and they were 6.5 back, and people were saying, uh-oh, here come the Cardinals. They turned round away and won 9 and lost 26 and went right down the tubes. Chopper
Donatella wide to third. Riles bobbles, recovers, and gets him. And so for Herzog, the troubles continue. A leadoff double, get him to third, and leave him. It's still 1-0 Giants. Now here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment.
An Olympic moment brought to you by the Prudential, going above and beyond to meet your needs in insurance and other financial services.
Melbourne, 1956. Chris Brasher of Great Britain is all alone at the finish of the Olympic 3,000-meter steeplechase. He wins, but there is a dispute. Brasher is disqualified for bumping another runner. After an appeal, the judges reverse the decision. Chris Brasher will finally be awarded the Olympic gold medal.
We go above and beyond, just like you, above and beyond what we have to do, caring for what's special to you.
I'm a Prudential representative. When I speak to people about car insurance, I offer them an exclusive Pru review to get them the best coverage possible.
Taking care to protect what's important to you. So rock the Prudential above and beyond. This is a change, this is new. Howard Johnson can just be you. This is Howard Johnson today. This is Howard Johnson today. This is Howard Johnson today. Changing in so many colorful, comfortable, welcoming ways.
Stay at Howard Johnson this summer. You could win up to $50,000 cash.
This is Howard Johnson today.
An American tradition continues. In 1956, he hit 43 home runs and led Brooklyn's beloved Bums to their second consecutive pennant. Edwin Snyder was the Duke of Ebbets Field. Now, Kirk Gibson powers the first-place Dodgers as they host the Houston Astros. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
Well, we had a look at some highlights of the American League a few moments ago. In the National League, the Houston Astros, who are very, very tough, particularly at home. They've won 10 out of 12. They're 5 back trying to make a move. Nolan Ryan, Mike Scott, and company. The Pirates have been playing dazzling ball, 12 out of 14, but it really had to hurt him. They got to within a half a game of the Mets. They lost to the Dodgers. The Mets swept the doubleheader, so they took a bit of a tumble last night. And the Pirates in Seattle made a trade. Darnell Cole's going back to where it all began for him at Seattle. And the Pirates get Glenn Wilson, whose last appearance in the National League was with the Phillies. Candy Maldonado, Mike Aldretti, and Ernest Riles. Candy grounded to short. He's 0 for 1. We're in the 4th inning. 1-0 Giants. Strike. 1-1.
I think you're for real as a ball club when the other ball clubs talk about you, and that's what Roger Craig and some of the guys talking about those Pirates. You put some right-hand pitcher out there, and they'll throw a pretty tough lineup against you.
Line drive. Base hit into left field for Candy Maldonado. It's interesting, too, that certainly 2 of the mainstays of the Pirate bullpen are former Giants, Jim Gott and Jeff Robinson.
Hey, you look at that ball club, and you see what Thrift has done. I mean, you don't even want to talk that Pena trade in St. Louis here with Dunn and Van Slyke, who's become...
And Lavalier.
They don't want to talk about that too much.
Mike Aldretti is the batter with Maldonado at first and nobody out here in the 4th inning. 1-0 San Francisco. Maldonado goes, hit-and-run ground ball to Oquendo. The only play is to first. So Aldretti, with Maldonado going, grounds out instead of a possible double play. Maldonado at second, and Ernest Riles will be the batter.
Third baseman Ernest Riles.
Maldonado, he's taken off, and he's looking back to make sure that the ball is hit and he doesn't get deked by some infielder, and that's the purpose of the hit-and-run play. That batter has to swing at that pitch to stay away from the double play because, as you said, Ben, if he's not running, that's just room service. 4-6-3, easy.
So Ernest Riles trying to pick up Maldonado from second base with 1 out in the 4th inning, 1-0 in favor of the Giants, and Bob Melvin on deck. Riles doubled and scored in the 2nd inning. One of those things you're not even scheduled to play. Kevin Mitchell's knee was bothering him at the last minute. They put Riles in the game, and he's already contributed with a double and a run scored. Now trying to pick up another RBI.
1-1 to Ernest Riles. Shot foul outside of first down the line. 0-2 the count.
He will surprise you with his power. I remember a couple years ago doing a baseball show, a home run hitting contest, and he was in it. And I thought, Ernest Riles, you know, with guys like Gwynn and Schmidt, Von Hayes, Riles is the guy. But when you look at it, of course, he just came over.
Well, when you match up his numbers with Jeffrey Leonard, he's certainly hitting very well.
I'll tell you, though, if you're talking about power between Riles and Leonard, I think I know who I choose.
To the count. Ernest Riles, Andy Maldonado at second, one away in the fourth inning, and the Giants leading the Cardinals 1-0. 2-2. Forsch is not a strikeout pitcher, and he's already picked up 2. That's the most he's had in any game this year. Balls and 2 strikes to Ernest Riles. Maldonado a fair lead at second base. High slicing fly ball to left field. Vince Coleman coming to the line. In foul ground to put it away, and Maldonado has to hold.
The last graphic was kind of interesting to the point that 13 strikeouts all year. It's pretty obvious that what Forsch would rather do is make 3 pitches for 3 outs rather than 9 pitches for 3 outs. He's wholesaling this.
Well, Bob Melvin will be the batter now, and he singled to drive in Riles in the second inning. So Melvin 1 for 1, but hitting only 180. Melvin has some stock. He has 7 home runs. 1 run, 4 hits for San Francisco. No runs, 1 hit for the Cardinals. Right.
They sent him to Phoenix earlier this year, and I tell you, that's always a rude awakening, having gone through it, to where you're in the big leagues, and then you think you're going to stay, and they send you down, and you battle back, and when you do get back, like Melvin is now, you're just not sure you're going to stay, and you really get that in the back of your mind, so it's a little bit of an extra battle that you have to fight.
He came back June the 30th from Phoenix, although he was doing pretty well down there.
He hit well. He hit over 300, but the only place to play is in the big leagues, and when you get back, you don't want to go back.
Fastball is hit down the right field line, foul out of play, on the count 0-2.
I went through it in 48. World Series, 47 was here, and then 48 in the middle of the year, they sent me back to Columbus. Wow. It really wakes you up.
Montreal and Cincinnati scoreless in the third. Bryn Smith and Jose Rio. Montreal 10 games back of the Mets. Cincinnati 8.5 games back of the Dodgers. 0-2. 0-1. The only run, if you joined us late, 2 out in the second inning. Riles doubled and Melvin singled, and that's the difference, I guess, for the moment with the two teams. The Giants had a 2-out double and cashed it in. The Cardinals had a lead-off double and left the man at third. Two and two the count. When you look at these two teams, they certainly have another thing in common. Big names on the disabled list. Giants, a good portion of their pitching staff, Mike LaCosse, Mike Krukow, and Dave Drabecki, along with infielder Phil Garner. Line drive, base hit. So Melvin, for the second time, singles in a run, and the Giants lead 2-0. And Melvin 2 for 2, getting the congratulatory pat from Dusty Baker.
When you look at this inning, you're going to see runs scored, Maldonado, RBI, Melvin. Maldonado a hit, Melvin a hit, but it was that hit-run play. Aldretti hits the ball, they move him over in the scoring position.
So 2-0 San Francisco, and Jose Uribe, who flied to right field in the second inning, coming up. In talking about the Giants and those fellows who are hurt on the DL, there is a feeling, since the Giants will go home and host the Dodgers in 4 games, they play Monday night, a twilight night doubleheader Tuesday, and a night game Wednesday. There is some feeling that maybe Mike Krukow would pitch that Wednesday game. Remains to be seen. But with 3 pitchers hurting, and you were talking earlier about trades, everybody's guessing maybe Mike Flanagan, somebody like that. 0-1. In there, strike 2.
Hey, it's really hard to keep track now with the DL and moving them back to like the Dodgers with Gonzalez and Albuquerque, and he's in Calgary, and they tell him to come here. No, you can't. You're going back.
Got a new nickname, Frequent Flyer Gonzalez, we call it. 0-2. 1-1. Say, what do you do for a living? I'm a passenger. 1-2 the count. Jose Uribe, 2-0 Giants in the 4th inning.
Worst thing in the world, though, is to think that you're going to go to the big leagues, and all you end up with miles on your frequent flyer.
Squirted foul off the end of the bat, so Uribe is still there. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I haven't had a chance, though, but I got to ask you about that trade. You said Ozzie Smith, you were in the middle of it. I've been in trades, but I've been on the other end where they called me and said I was gone.
Well, this wasn't, when we have a moment.
When you get a chance, you got to tell it.
Yeah.
I want to.
It's incredible how things are blown out of proportion. Here's the odds. 1-2 the count. Jose Uribe. Fouled away. In the inning, Maldonado single to left. The Giants put the hit-and-run play on, and Aldretti grounded out, avoiding a force or even a double play. So Maldonado safe at second, and after Riles fouled out, Melvin singled to get him home. Melvin also singled to get Riles home in the second inning. And that slap to left, but Coleman is there. So the Giants settle for a run on 2 hits and leave a man. And at the end of 3.5 innings, it's Bob Melvin 2, and the Cardinals nothing.
Downtown, 2:30 a.m. Empty city, empty streets. At times like this, you really appreciate how good Mr. Goodwrench is. He has the high-tech electronic equipment to analyze and adjust your high-tech General Motors car so you can drive with confidence anytime, anywhere. Mr. Goodwrench, no one knows your GM car better. No one.
In Matilda Bay, only one thing livens up a dull night at the movies.
Coming soon, Skippy 4. This time he's hopping mad. Seat Wars. And now Matilda Bay Cooler is in the lobby.
It's a different kind of cooler. Sensationally smooth, exotically refreshing, wildly unique. Try original fruit and new special dry. Now made in the States.
Tonight's feature, Pause.
Take your taste away from the everyday.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Now there's a powerful new reason to follow your heart. The new 4.3-liter V6, available in S10 Blazer. 28% more power than before, and 50% more torque. The new 4.3-liter V6, the biggest engine ever offered in Blazer's class.
The heartbeat of America.
Chevy S10 Blazer.
Today's Chevy truck.
That's it? That's all? You gotta be kidding.
It does. If you thought dental cleanings were easy with Tartar Control Crest,
Can't believe it.
they just got easier.
Boy, that was fast.
Introducing new and improved Tartar Control Crest.
You're all done? No.
The new tartar fighting formula that can actually help stop tartar before it starts. Tartar Control Crest, the dentist choice, is now harder on tartar and easier on you.
Thank you very much. Caps full of dreams here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. A little glimpse of tomorrow, huh?
Today is autograph ball day, and those two little guys proudly holding their autograph ball.
And the fair sex is certainly represented. Isn't she pretty? And into the bottom of the fourth inning we go, with the Giants leading the Cardinals 2-0. It'll be Willie McGee, Tom Brunansky, and then Terry Pendleton. McGee struck out in the first inning. Willie 0 for 1. Foul that one off. No balls and 1 strike to count.
You know, watching McGee swing at the first pitch, you'd have to describe the Cardinals as a singles-hitting ball club. And as Whitey said it best, yet they really strike out a lot for a ping-hitting ball club, and they don't walk that much. And they're up there hacking.
0-1. Ground ball to the left of shortstop Uribe on the run to take care of McGee, who is having a deceptive year. You know, you look at Willie McGee's average and you say, oh, 303, he's doing super. What he's really doing is he's like a leadoff man who is batting third. His run production is not the way you'd want it, with only 37 RBIs and 1 home run. Here's Tom Brunansky. Brunansky has done a great deal since coming over. He had a 19-game hitting streak, but he hasn't hit very many home runs in this ballpark. 9 of his 14 have been hit on the road, 5 of them in San Diego. But running is contagious if you play for Whitey, and he has a career-high 13 stolen bases. So he might become just the second Cardinal. Lou Brock's the other. They have 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Fouled away, 1-2. Herzog is always good copy anyway. And he was talking about the plight of the Cardinals, and he said, I'll tell you one thing, he said, we'd have won more games if we still had her. And of course, he traded her for Brunansky, but he was just making a point. And he said, there's nothing wrong with Brunansky, but, and then he went on with her. 1-2. Little roller slowly. Ernest Riles is there. 2 down. Terry Pendleton will be coming up. Pendleton has massive thighs, but he also pays a price. And those thighs, because of a severely pulled hamstring, have just about ruined this year for him. He started out with a pulled hamstring on the 14th of May. He was out until the 27th, and he had a recurrence of the injury, went on the disabled list, was activated on the 24th of June, but didn't start again until the 29th of June. Line drive, base hit into right field.
Man, that's what you miss. You heard Ozzie Smith in the pregame interview, and then Whitey himself said when Pendleton and Horner went out together, we stopped. End of story.
Well, here comes Jose Oquendo. Oquendo hit a 2-run home run last night to beat the Giants. He hit a very famous home run in the league championship series against Adley Hammaker. And interestingly enough, 4 of the 6 home runs he has hit have been against San Francisco in his career. He is a remarkable talent with an atmospheric lifetime batting average. Hitting .291 right now. His average joins some of the great stars to ever swing a bat. Whitey Herzog, .257. Joe Garagiola, .257.
Yeah, but we were hitting a dead ball. He's hitting a live ball. Come on.
Jose. He's done everything but catch. He's played every position on the field, and he has pitched. He's got a pretty good knuckleball. And Oquendo was the first position player since Rocky Calavito 20 years ago to get a pitching decision, albeit a loss. So in career pitching, he is 0-1. But what a remarkable talent he is. On the corner, 0-1.
He says when he comes out the ballpark, he doesn't care, doesn't want to know the answer. Where am I going to play? It's when am I going to play?
And he literally has played himself in the lineup when Pendleton was out by what he did, and now he's over at second base. He's also a great ad, I think, Vin, for having the utility player on the All-Star ballot.
And how? What a spot for him especially. Strike two. He has started over 60 games this year, and he's played 2 at first, 10 at second, 3 at short, 40 at third, and he's played left, center, and right, and he pitched 4 innings of relief against Atlanta. What a guy. Jose Oquendo, and he has Pendleton at first with 2 out in the 4th. Giants leading 2-0. One ball and 2 strikes.
You don't see Pendleton do it too much, but one of the things that Whitey likes to do against the Giants is to have his runners break off on every pitch to look like they're stealing, hoping that he can draw a pitch out from Roger Craig to give his hitter a better selection of pitches. So he's kind of trolling.
Little comebacker, and Hammaker short hops and takes care of Jose. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 4. Giants 2, Cardinals nothing, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday, Mark Harmon.
Ted Bundy is the most compassionate, caring person.
What they didn't know.
Where is he going to strike next?
The Deliberate Stranger, Sunday.
For more than 50 years, Hans has been talking about the land of sky blue waters. Well, it's time we stopped talking and started showing.
From the land of sky blue waters, from the land of pine, lofty balsam, comes the beer refreshing. It's the pines and sunset breezes. Has the beer refreshing, has the beer refreshing hand.
Saturday at noon, this empty, quiet space will come alive.
Round, round, get around, I get around.
With Lynch Motors Beach Party Sale at the fairgrounds. Low prices on fantasy vans loaded with style. Beautiful Bayliner boats from Del Rancho Marine. Trucks like you won't believe. Specially priced truck boat combo and the best body on the beach, this Honda CRX SI. Plus sale price sailboards from the Sport House with free dry land training. And a chance to win a cruise for 2 to Victoria. Make it early to the Beach Boys concert for the Lynch Beach Party Sale. But you'll have to wait till noon Saturday.
On Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, you'll see Peter Gross and me, Jim Fowler, in some of the most exciting adventure sequences on TV. We have some of the funniest stand-up comics, too. The best wrestling matches on TV, the most glamorous guest stars, and even the top rock stars. Travel the world with us and see them all on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, right here every week.
Watch Wild Kingdom this Sunday at 6:30 on Channel 23.
Channel 23, KNDO, Yakima.
The St. Louis Cardinals must be a case of what might have been. They lost Jack Clark, so they needed somebody to provide some sock, and they went out and got Bob Horner, fresh from Japan. And that one line sums up succinctly what's gone on this year. And Horner, of course, banged up, and he's going to be out for quite a while. 0-1. Adley Hammaker grounded to short in the 3rd inning. 0 for 1. Hammaker, who pitched so well for the Giants last year, a 10-game winner, started 27 games. It has been a dismal year for him up to here, plagued with a sore elbow, made only 3 starts. He was good enough last year to be on the mound for the big game in the League Championship Series. Loses his bat into the dugout and loops out to Oquendo. And boy, that bat did not hit anybody, but Chris Spire finally picked it up.
Just checking to see if it's broken. I don't think it's broken, but it took 1 hop right into that dugout.
So Hammaker loops out, 1 down. He certainly kept the bench alive with that swing. And the bat of Brett Butler.
Did you see the highlights, Vin, of that as we look at this little pop fly? The play in Cubs Park when Grace and Moyer fell into the dugout. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see
that. Pop fly, and the railing gave way, and they landed head first into the dugout. Really, you thought somebody got hurt, but luckily nobody did. And on a play like that, usually on the bench, you're watching the play, and to see a bat go flying in there, you Oh, boy, I hope it doesn't hit anybody.
0-1 the count to Brett Butler with 1 out, 5th inning. 2-0 San Francisco. Butler hit back to the box and bunted for a base hit in the 3rd inning. He's hit in 11 straight. You might remember the collision with Pendleton and Forge.
Hey, he's done about what they expected him to do. He got off to a little bit of a slow start, but when they traded for Butler, they figured that they would get about maybe a 285 year and a little better speed and defense, and he's done a pretty good job for him.
Hitting 288. He's had 11 bunt singles so far. And he's really hot bunting. You don't hear that very often, but he really is. He has bunted safely for a base hit 9 of his last 10 at-bats. I imagine the Dodgers over in Pittsburgh watching this game, making a few notes.
Oh, yeah.
Butler, let's see. 9 out of 10.
Beginning of the year, he had trouble doing that. Remember, we talked about it.
Yeah, and how. 3-2 to Brett Butler with Robbie Thompson on deck. 1 out in the 5th inning, and it's Giants 2, Cardinals nothing. Fouled away. Getting on base, Cal Daniels. Then you have Brett Butler, Darryl Strawberry, and Will Clark, the top 4. And 2. Slaps that fastball the other way, and Coleman has a bead on it. 2 down. And Robbie Thompson coming up. Robbie Thompson lost a hit on a fine play by Terry Pendleton and struck out in the 3rd inning.
Robbie Thompson.
Robbie 0 for 2. Good numbers. It's always been a question of his back, whether it'll hold up or not. Fine ball player. He has a pinched nerve condition in the back. Foul ball down the right field line out of play. When they moved Robbie Thompson to the 2nd spot in the lineup, it certainly affected him. He's taken off, hitting .315. Have any explanation of that, how a fellow will certainly hit better in one position than another in the lineup? I mean,
I can't really pinpoint anything except that, like with the 4th spot, it's really an ego trip. I mean, some guys just say, I'm a 4th place hitter.
Breaking ball, a 1-hopper to shortstop. Ozzie is there, and that's that. So the Giants quickly in the 5th inning, 1-2-3. Only the 2nd time today Force has set them down in order, and at the end of 4 1/2, 2-0 Giants.
Chevy S10 invites you to own the street with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact pickup. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. And a price to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
Okay, so you love your car. Whoa, you're not going inside yet. The tires, the 4 round things underneath. There you go. Now, see that armor all protected? Wipe some of that stuff on the tires and bumpers. Okay, now get in the car and do the dash and the seats. You can do this. This is not rocket science. Now, look at your car. Now go in the house and tell them how hard you worked. Go ahead. They don't know about armor all. They'll buy it.
Feeding in fluids and minerals, supplying energy to working muscles. Nothing cuts through your thirst like Gatorade.
The problem with foreign oil is that the price and supply goes up and down. To get off this roller coaster, America can use its own coal and nuclear energy. America can count on coal and nuclear energy.
In every town in America, there's always one place that does a little bit better job of fixing your car. And it seems the things they all have in common are great mechanics, great service, and Napa parts.
A legend has been created. A better battery for the future. Better with more reserve power. Better with a warranty that lasts over 6 years. Better with a special $10 rebate available right now. The legend from Napa. A better battery.
When you look at that, if you try to interpret it, I guess what you should do is look at those three teams and then ask the question, who was the National League pennant winner in 1987? And there's the residual. Tom Pagnozzi, and a strike, 0-1. Pagnozzi lined out to Robbie Thompson in the second inning. Tom can play first, catch, and, of course, third. And he got to have a round. 0-1. High fly ball into left center, but it's playable. Aldretti with the shades down. One away.
Especially with the 24-man roster, a guy like Pagnozzi and O'Kendall have become just a little more valuable than it's normal.
Isn't that the truth? This telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
Hey, Ben, we got Lake and Forsch coming up. Now it'll be a time to tell me that latrine rumor trade.
Oh, yeah, okay. Lake doubled and was left at third in the third inning. The other day, we were sitting around in Whitey's office talking about how the game has changed as far as the administration of the game. And the idea that you can keep sending a player down and back and forth and back and forth. You don't have to worry like in the old days about how many options. Nowadays, a guy can really be on a shuttle all year. And to further illustrate the point, we were talking about the deal.
Who's we?
Oh, there were like 4 or 5 writers, and Whitey was holding court. And in the course of all this, we said, well, now there's a deal about where a player to be named later. When do you actually know who the player to be named later is? Ground ball to the right side to Robbie Thompson. 2 down. Whitey said, when you make a deal for a player to be named later, someone in the commissioner's office must be informed as to who that player is. He said, I'll give you a case in point. He said, for instance, just for fun, shouldn't I pick up this phone? I call George Steinbrenner. And I say, I tell you what, George, you want to win the pennant? I'll give you Ozzie Smith and John Tudor for a player to be named later. We won't say who it is. You tell the commissioner's office that it's Don Mattingly, and then come November, after the pennant and the World Series and everything else, then I'll take Mattingly. And everybody said, yeah, sure, that's right, of course. Only one man in the commissioner's office has to know. End of story. And the next thing you know, it's in the papers that there was a trade involving Ozzie Smith and John Tudor for Don Mattingly. It was in USA Today, national coverage. Heard it on the radio here in St. Louis.
I heard yesterday.
That's where it started, where he was just trying to make a point about the player to be named later. Now, that is a latrine room. You know, when we were kids, one Christmas time, I was sorting mail in the General Post Office in New York. He made pretty good dough, you know. And it's pretty dull standing there with a stack of letters, putting them in the pigeonholes all the time. 1 and 1. It was during the war. We're just kids in high school. 3 floors below the main street in New York City, General Post Office. We said, let's start a rumor. What are we going to do? Well, we got to start a rumor that people want to hear. They like to have it be involved. I know. Let's start a rumor about Hitler. I said, okay, what'll we do? Well, let's make a rumor that Hitler's dead. 3 and 1. So, we should spread the word. Hitler's dead. That's all we did, okay? All right. Now they send us on our lunch break, which is like midnight. We go upstairs, and there's an old man who's like a night watchman sitting by the door. And as we're going out, he says, hey, Red. He said, get me a paper. I said, sure. He said, I understand Hitler was killed in a plane crash. 3 and 1. 3 and 2 to count.
Oh, I tell you, the Army, that's the way it was. Every time you went to the latrine, oh, we're going to Okinawa. Oh, no, man, Leifty, how do you know? Well, the cook told me from the general's office that he heard that, and there it was.
Yeah, well, that's one time. I really know where it started.
Twice, that trade with Ozzie Smith and Hitler.
And Hitler, yeah.
Very good company.
And that's the inning, with Ozzie Smith and Adolf Hitler and the rest of the gang. And at the end of 5, Giants 2, Cardinals nothing. Here's another edition of Characters of the Game.
Characters of the Game. Brought to you by A&W. Sit back and try yourself an A&W root beer or cream soda. He's in a different line of work today, but back in 1980, Joe Charbonneau was the American League Rookie of the Year and one of baseball's most colorful characters. Hey, Joe, let's show your friends an interview you did back when you were known as Super Joe and you had your own punk rock single.
You do your bar aerobics to this song. It's a punk rock record, and I'm a punk rock baseball player. I got to hide here. One day I was sitting with some friends, we were talking. They were telling me all kinds of crazy stuff they could do in the minor leagues, and I said, well, I can drink beer through my nose.
Super Joe Charbonneau, still taking curtain calls, and still a character of the game.
There are 3 good reasons to try A&W root beer. 1, it's rich, creamy, and delicious. 2, a frosty mug of A&W is a real change of pace from the usual boring soft drinks. 3, you don't buy A&W root beer, I may have to go back to my previous occupation. Pig catching don't pay half as good as advertising. Next time, try yourself an A&W.
As soon as you get out there, call Mike Butler at the Century 21 office.
Well, he already called me, Dad.
Check the utility bills.
I will, Dad.
You know, the right mortgage.
Isn't this guy Butler a friend of yours?
Yeah, sure.
Well, if he's half the guy you are, I bet I can trust him.
Take care of yourself.
Write your mother.
We're going to the 6th inning here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, where the Giants leading the Cardinals 2-0. The Cardinals with their 2 hits, a double by Lake and a single by Pendleton. The Giants have had Bob Melvin lead the attack. A 2-out double by Riles in the 2nd. Melvin singled him home. A leadoff single by Maldonado, and with 2 outs, Melvin singled him home again. So it is 2-0 San Francisco.
Then with Clark leading off, and you talk about his mustache, when I was doing that interview, I noticed it, and I thought, he probably didn't shave today. But if that's a couple days old, it's going to take him a while.
Yeah, that's since Pittsburgh, so about a week. And he has another week to go, and then Craig Lefferts, the left-handed down in the bullpen, will be worrying about having to shave his off. Clark, one of the few to play in all of them. Only 4 National Leaguers have played in all 95 games. There's Craig Leffert. Now look at that mustache. That might have to come off in a week.
I don't think he'll take it off. I think he'll find a way to beat the rap.
We'll see. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2. The 4 National Leaguers who have played in all 95, besides Will Clark, Steve Sachs of the Dodgers, Bobby Bonilla of the Pirates, Rafael Palmeiro of the Cubs. Of course, Bonilla looks like he should play in all of them.
He should play every inning of spring training.
Oh.
He's really...
He's a magnificent-looking ball player, isn't he?
When you look at him and the Canseco...
Yeah.
How about that Galarraga in Montreal?
Another one. Bob Forge in a tough ball game, down 2-0. Clark with a closed stance. Drives it down the line, foul. You would figure he'd hook about almost everything with that stance. It is so close. The right foot's so much closer to the plate than the left.
Usually you're misled to think you can get that ball inside, but a quick bat, that'll change your mind in a hurry.
How much does that mean to you as a catcher? You look at a hitter's feet. Does it mean much? How to pitch to him?
It does if you don't know anything about him, yeah. But then again, the advanced scouting helps you a lot. But, I mean, you would think that he's looking for a ball on the outside part of the plate if you didn't know it, and you would try to jam him. But with his quick bat, he'll tear out a row of seats in right field.
High fly ball into left center. Carrying, too. Coleman going almost to the warning track. This is a very tough ballpark. For a couple of years, the toughest ballpark in the National League to hit it out would be the Astrodome in Houston. But lately, it is St. Louis. Oh, it's 330 down the line. That's not bad. But the power alleys, 383 falling away to well over 395. And it is 414 to straightaway center. I mean, that is an overnight hike to get it out there. The other day, Kirk Gibson hit it in the seats with 2 on. Big shot to get that far. Bouncer back to Forge.
Well, there was a story in the paper today, Vin, about Kirk Gibson. You saw it, I know, being compared to Pete Reese, the great Dodger outfielder. I got to tell you, in deference to Kirk Gibson, no way you could even say it in the same breath. Reese was such a great ball player. Tragically hit all the walls, but I tell you, he was something.
I've had older people who were there back around 1939 or so when Reeser was just playing and coming up. And they said, had he not been injured, he might have been the greatest player to ever play the game. Now, that's really some statement, but at least it gives you an idea. And Kirk Gibson, with all of his abilities, would certainly never be included in that kind of a remark.
I'll tell you, I was a kid just drafted in the Army, was on the Fort Riley team with Pete, and then I played against him. And that story today was true. I mean, he didn't care what the score was. He didn't know a wall was there. And as the guy so aptly put it, Tom Wheatley, he said he just did not wrap his career in caution. You can't be a good ball player and do that.
He was that exceedingly rare player. That's it right at Coleman. Reeser not only had superb qualities, and he was a switch hitter with power and great speed, but he had that one other thing, overwhelming desire.
Right.
I mean, he was a manager's dream. At the end of 5.5, 2-0 Giants.
We can help you make money. We can help you enter new markets and have a presence. We can help you become a major player in some type of environment. You have the idea, you start it. We'll help you finish it. Obviously, if you're starting a new business, there's something that you think you have to offer. But just having the better mousetrap doesn't necessarily give you market share. You have to understand, how do I take this great idea, how do I target it, how do I get to those folks that can probably and that want to buy, and how do I sort through of all the people that are out there, of all the companies that are out there for my product and service, which is going to be my #1 target group. We can help you do that. We work with just hundreds of clients annually. And I'm sure we've worked with people in the industry that you're going in. And that would allow you to understand what works, what doesn't work, to get to that market share. What's it going to get you? Money. Isn't that what it's kind of all about in starting up a new business?
Sir, express pack, please. Wendy's new express pack is for people in cars, and you don't have a car.
Well, that means I just wasted $15 on a lube job.
Pick up the express pack. Quarter-pound single with the works. Fries and soft drink at Wendy's.
It's harvest time in Matilda Bay. Time to gather the smooth refresher. Matilda Bay Original Fruit Cooler. A new special dry. Now you can pick and choose.
We go above and beyond just like you. Above and beyond what we have to do.
I'm a Prudential representative, and I help people review their life insurance needs because I know how much the right life insurance means to me and my family.
You take pride in your life, so do we. Going above and beyond is our policy. The Rock, the Prudential, above and beyond.
On the scoreboard, Montreal and Cincinnati. Scoreless in the top of the 7th inning. Montreal 10 back of the Mets. The Reds 8.5 back of the Dodgers. Atlanta leading the Mets 2-1, so they'll be interested in that game, particularly in Pittsburgh. The Pirates 2 games back of the Mets. The amazing Red Sox and the Morgan Magic. They're out in front over the White Sox, trying to make it 10 straight. The Red Sox, remember, began the day 3.5 games back of Detroit. 1 ball and no strikes to Vince Coleman. Right. Coleman, like Brett Butler, a threat to bunt. He's had 7 bunts for base hits, but the big difference is if Coleman it gets on, he drives the pitcher to distraction. He has personally caused 9 balks this year.
He really likes to push that ball past the pitcher towards the second baseman.
Fouled away, 1-2. Vince hitting .272, 2 home runs, 21 runs batted in. Cardinals really hit a drought just prior to the Dodgers series. They lost 10 out of 11, and during that stretch, they amassed a total of 20 runs, never more than 3 in a game. And, of course, you remember they were walloped by the Giants a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks today, 21-2. The Cardinals had such a bad stretch that at one stage they were 2-12 in July, and their 2 victories They were trailing San Diego by a run in the 9th inning when they pulled him out. And prior to the Dodger series, they had led in the 9th inning of a game, June the 25th. So this team has just completely turned off offensively.
Everything. They just couldn't do anything right. So this is a big pitch right here. That base on balls would get us started for him because Coleman, as you said, been kind of a guy who could turn a base on balls into a triple.
A reminder, of course, with the pennants of great heritage here, of the pennants and world championships won by the Cardinals. There they are. And they should be proudly displayed. 3-2, the count to Vince Coleman. And he walked him, and look out now.
Saw an amazing statistic on Coleman. Only 12 of 131 attempts came when St. Louis was ahead or trailing by 3 runs. Got a 2-0 ball game here, and 82 attempts with the score tied or down by 1. So he usually makes them count. He doesn't just pat it. And what he does best when he gets on is disrupt.
And now, of course, will be the game within the game. Roger Craig, who pitches out more than any other manager in the league, and a premier base stealer at first, and Ozzie Smith at the plate. Ozzie's grounded out twice. Coleman has stolen second 33 times. He's stolen third 14 times. And he stole home this year. He stole home, a straight steal of home. For the first time in his career, he did it against the Mets.
He gets a good lead. Roger's going to go out, and I think what he's going to simply say is, hey, you got to worry about the hitter because you worry about Coleman. He gets a big enough lead that he certainly is distracting. You'll see him dig with that left foot to kind of get footing almost like he's building one of those starting blocks in the track meet. And many times, in fact, most times, he'll get both feet on the artificial surface. And I think that's pretty good base running, or at least getting that pitcher to think you're going.
And, of course, he drives, as we said, pitches to distraction, causing 9 balks. Last year, as Joe Price and Randy Bacchus get up in the Giant bullpen, last year, Hammaker balked 7 times. Now, the interesting point to be made about balks on a Giant club, the staff has 11 balks. You know how many balks Roger Craig made in his entire career? Roger Craig made 12 balks in his entire career. And the Giants have made 11. So Roger cautioning Hammaker, I'm sure, not to let Coleman get his goat. And 1 ball and no strikes, Ozzie Smith. It's 2-0 Giants, and we're in the bottom of the 6th inning.
There he goes, building the starting block, and look how far over he is.
2-0 the count.
The Cardinals, you can honestly say, a base on balls to Coleman is a rally.
Oh, sure. It's almost like an extra base hit. Coleman has stolen 48. He has been thrown out 16 times. He's certainly not invincible. And now Hammaker is really in a mess. He appears to have lost his rhythm. I don't know if it's Coleman's presence or what. And Bob Lillis and Roger Craig watching him very carefully. It is 2-0 Giants in the 6th inning.
You would think that Smith would at least take 2 strikes now and not help Hammaker out at all. Let's see what happens.
And there goes Coleman. It's a strike. The throw, he is in there on his landing gear.
3-0. Imagine that count. You would think he would just be standing there waiting for Ozzie to get the base on balls, and away he goes.
The Herzog, who just turns Coleman loose, and Vince steals it. And the count 3-1 to Ozzie Smith. 49 stolen bases for Coleman.
That is really a disruptive stolen base because the Giants have to almost feel like we weren't paying that close attention to him, yet they were, as you can see by the wildness in Hammaker.
Uribe's trying to hold him on. We'll repeat. Coleman has stolen third base 14 times and only been caught twice. The top man, Gerald Young, with 50, might have had more. He had a bad knee for a while. And Coleman right back of him.
They got daylight between them already.
And he walked him. 2 on, nobody out. Willie McGee, the batter, and that walk should certainly be credited to Coleman, I think.
And now there are 2 base on balls, and McGee is known as a first ball hitter. Now, you don't want to take the bat out of his hand, but you'd have to make Hammaker work a little bit because he has showing wildness here in the base on balls to Coleman and to Smith.
McGee has grounded into 6 double plays this year, 3 from either side of the plate, and you really have some rabbits out there on the base paths now. And time, Robbie Thompson heading for the mound. Vince Coleman at second, Ozzie Smith at first, and that'll put even more pressure on Hammaker now. And if you're wondering, would you have the number 3 hitter sacrifice? Well, McGee has sacrificed twice this year. You have Brunansky on deck.
You may do it, but he hasn't been doing it.
No.
And with his speed, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, the first thing they do bring Riles up. So he's not going to be caught short. He's up inside the bag at third, kind of looking bunt. Uribe is bird-dogging Coleman. And there he goes. It's a double steal. The throw, they've gotten it.
What you're seeing is the 9-5 shift making a run. A base on balls to Coleman, 3-0 to Ozzie Smith. He steals second. Smith walks, and now they steal second and third. No possibility to bunt. The fly ball. You're looking at a blue-collar run coming in.
144 stolen bases for the Cardinals. We'll take another look. It wasn't close.
No way, even if the ball is there in time.
So second and third, nobody out. 0-1 the count to McGee. A base hit now figures to tie up the game. One and one the count. So Hammaker is battling to stay in. McGee with a chance for a couple of RBIs. One ball and one strike.
McGee with a man at third and less than 2 outs, hitting 185. That's the percentage.
1-2. Hammaker, accustomed to some pressure. After all, he started games 3 and 7 in the league championship series, and he lost the clincher to Danny Cox here. Game 7, 6-0. That was the game marked by the home run by Oquendo. He's on the firing line now.
Boy, this statistic with men in scoring position. McGee's had 132 possibilities. He's driven in 33.
Yep, that's more like a leadoff man. Certainly not a number 3 hitter in the lineup.
Known to chase that bad low pitch inside.
In the dirt, but in front of the plate and blocked by Bob Melvin. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That was a good save by Melvin.
That was, and I tell you, shows great confidence by Hammaker in his catcher. If you got a guy back there that you don't think can block it, you're not going to do it. So that was a good pitch. It's exactly where he wanted to throw it, hoping McGee would chase it, and Melvin really blocks it nicely. Tries to get the glove down, but he caroms off his protector and stays in front of him.
I thought for a moment that Melvin had hurt his neck. Something bothered him just then as he blocked that, but he's all right. But he was twisting his head and his neck. He felt something. Maybe the bill of the helmet stuck in there.
That can get you when it hits you behind the neck.
2 balls and 2 strikes to McGee. Little roller up the middle, smothered by Thompson. No play. The run is over.
You might call it a typical Cardinal run. The ball has not left the infield. They have 1 run in, first and third, nobody out, and the 4th place hitter up.
And Roger Craig, even though he knows that Hammaker was due to bat 4th in the 7th inning, he's decided he's gone as far as he can go with him. He's not going to let the game go down the drain while waiting for a chance to hit for the left-hander, and they'll go to the bullpen. So Vince Coleman started it all with the walk. Then, before you knew it, Hammaker fell behind to him, and the Cardinals were off to the races.
Okay, so you love your car. Whoa. You're not going inside yet. The tires, the 4 round things underneath. There you go. Now, see that Armor All protectant? Wipe some of that stuff on the tires and bumpers. Okay, now get in the car and do the dash and the seats. You can do this. This is not rocket science. Now, look at your car. Now go in the house and tell them how hard you worked. Go ahead. They don't know about Armor All. They'll buy it. The
Johnson's first house was the biggest investment they'd ever made, so they wanted the best homeowners insurance that they could find. I'm State Farm Agent John Caldwell. After Terry and Barbara checked around, they came to State Farm. They found the protection they wanted at the right price, plus the personal service people expect from a State Farm agent. One day, they may find a house they like better, but they'll never find a better homeowner's insurance value.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
In Matilda Bay, there's only one thing that'll turn an ordinary night on the town into a night to remember. Matilda Bay Cooler.
Little nip of the smooth refresher.
Matilda Bay's a different kind of cooler, now made in the States. It's sensationally smooth, exotically refreshing, wildly unique. Try original fruit and new special dry. Take your taste away from the everyday.
I want a man with a slow hand. He's got a face that I love to touch.
Introducing the new Schick Ultrex Plus. Its pivoting head has a lubricating comfort strip and one-push groove to shave you smoother than ever.
A touch this easy makes me understand. When it comes to love, I want a slow
New Schick Ultrex Plus, the easy touch for the ultimate shave.
The Giants lead the Cardinals 2-1, but the Cardinals now lighting a fire here in the 6th inning. One run over. They have runners at first and third and nobody out. Randy Bach is pitching to Tom Brunansky, and he'll have to worry about McGee. In fact, that's the first thing he does. After all, McGee has stolen 28 out of 32. So wherever you look, there's a rabbit. First it was Coleman, then it was Ozzie Smith, and now it's McGee and Smith. Brunansky grounded to short, grounded to third. He has 52 runs batted in. Time called. Randy Bacchus 0-1. No saves. The pitch is about due a fourth for the Giants in the 7th inning. Pitch out. So they're looking at McGee.
They're looking at the possible squeeze or the worst you could get out of his second, third, and one out, and looking at McGee. They're looking at all kinds of things. Speed will do that to you. Speed, I think, will make you look bad, and when you're on defense, it'll make you think about things that you ordinarily wouldn't think about in the ball game.
1 ball and no strikes to count.
Steve Melvin checking again, then.
Yeah, and McGee is barely on the rug. His right foot's on the seam. Way out in front of it, 1-1. Adley Hammaker made 71 pitches. Well, that's not so bad. That's roughly 12 pitches an inning.
You want to count when he threw his glove after they took him out in the hat in 73. He was really upset when he went in there.
1 ball and 1 strike to Tom Brunansky. Terry Pendleton on deck. Nobody out. McGee at first, Smith at third. 3 stolen bases by the Cardinals here in the 6th inning. Remember, they've stolen as many as 6 in a game, and they've done that 5 times this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-2. Tom Brunansky up there with a chance to get the Cardinals even against a 27-year-old Randy Bacchus out of Canton, Ohio. Randy went to Kent State University. One and 2 to count. Fouled away.
Hey, so far he's just shown him the fastball and he's thrown the breaking ball. And Brunansky's been out in front and then pulled this one foul.
One and 2 to Bruno, as they call him. Smith down the line from third. McGee away from first. Ground ball to third. Backing up is Riles to second. Safe. And then out. He evidently came on and off the bag, and spiked on the play is Robbie Thompson. We got 2 calls by Dana DeMuth. First safe, then out. But let's wait and see.
I think that was the correct call, Ben, because Riles, he was undecided. Ozzie Smith, there was a contact play. As soon as the ball was hit, he broke to the plate. It threw Riles' timing off. Now watch him. He thinks, oh, now he hesitates. Here's where he makes it tough. And McGee is intent on just taking Thompson out of the play, and he does pretty well there, but goes off the bag. And you saw it right there. Look at his feet. He's not on the bag, and Robbie makes the tag. I guess McGee felt right away that he was going to be an easy force out, and he wanted to break up the double play. And he does right here, but he comes off the bag, and it cost him. He was right on top of that play, Dana was. Good call.
Meanwhile, Robbie Thompson being ministered to back of the bag. So Brunansky hits into a 5-4 force play, picking up a run batted in. Ozzie Smith scores to tie up the game.
And look at your score sheet. The ball is yet to leave the infield, and they got 2 runs in.
That is a typical Cardinal rally this year.
I think Nick Lea is kind of wondering here why the call was made, because he thought that maybe McGee had his feet on the bag, but that replay shows you he was off.
Well, Hammaker went out, and now Adley really has reason to be steamed, because he not only can't win the game, he now can lose the game. And once he got in the dugout, watch him. I mean, he's got to let something off. The helmet went one way, the glove went the other. And I'm sure he is really bubbling over now, because Brunansky at first, even though Bacchus pitched to him, Brunansky belongs to Hammaker. So Adley Hammaker can't win. He could only lose. It's been that kind of a year for him. 2-2 in the 6th inning.
As you mentioned, Ben, you can't take Brunansky for granted. He's got 13 stolen bases.
And how? They're talking around here. He'll be a 20-20 man. 20 stolen, 20 home runs in 4-1. So Coleman walked and stole second. Smith walked. Then Coleman and Smith negotiated the double steal. McGee got an infield single back at second base for a run, and Brunansky hits into a force play for the second run to tie it up.
They just moved Butler a little more towards center field. He was way over in right center. Straight away now. I see him lined up right with that bag.
Pendleton, a switch hitter, better numbers as a right-handed batter, although his power comes from this side of the plate. He has 4 home runs, and all 4 have been hit as a left-handed batter.
Brunansky just did what we had talked about earlier. He really gave it a good false start off first base, like he was going to go all the way. And what Whitey is hoping is maybe draw a pitch out from Roger Craig.
2-0, the count of Pendleton. And there he goes, and is a looper, base hit into left field. Brunansky's going to go to third. Aldredi's throw, he is in there. Holding at first is Pendleton. And it was a hit-and-run play all the way, because Brunansky was looking back to see what Pendleton was doing.
Cardinal speed once again. And Brunansky, even though he's a number 4 hitter, breaking with the pitch, goes all the way from first to third on the base hit to left field. If you're not running, you stop at second.
So first and third, 1 out, and Jose Oquendo coming out. And Roger Craig and Bob Lewis, seeing a ball club struggle. The way the Giants have played this year, all you have to do is look at the All-Star game. The last 5 before the All-Star break, they won all 5. After the break, they lost their first 5. They've been that way all year, hanging around the 500 mark. They were within 3 of 500 up and down most of the year, and they're 2 games above 500 right now.
Bob Melvin playing a little mind game with Oquendo. He asked Frank Pooley to check that batter's box, and he thought Oquendo was out of it with that modified Rod Carew stance that he uses. That back foot way deep in the batter's box.
Pendleton at first, Brunansky at third. Pendleton plagued by that severely pulled hamstring. He has only stolen 2 bases. 2 out of 4.
There they go again at home plate. Pulley was in there talking to him. Oquendo likes to hit deep in that batter's box. and there's no line. Your pet peeve.
Well, they're going to watch him. We have a 2-2 tie here in the 6th inning. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Cardinals. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cards. 2 runs, 5 for the Giants. Bernansky at third, Pendleton at first. Right. 0-1. After Oquendo, Pagnozzi. Tom playing first base. The left-hand hitting Mike Laga sits down because Hamaker started. To Jose Oquendo. Off speed, and he missed with it. Oquendo has a look at Nick Leyva. Hamaker sitting back now along with Craig Lefferts. Lefferts working on those nails. 1-1.
Oquendo's pretty good with a man at third base and less than 2 outs. Got a .429 percentage.
The remarkable Oquendo, who made his debut with the Mets when he was about 19 years old.
He really studied Rod Carew. He said he watched that videotape, and you can see by that stance he's a good student.
2-1. Oquendo debuted with the Mets, and he was 19 years, 9 months, and 28 days old. Interesting, he had 2 regular season home runs in his career, both off left-hand pitchers. And then in Game 7 last year, he hit the big one against Atlee Hamaker. And a squeeze, fouled it away. So Brunansky was coming, and Oquendo got a piece of it, but that's all.
And that was a suicide squeeze all the way. And Brunansky did not wait to see where that ball was bunted. The minute that the Bacchus got there ready to deliver, here comes Brunansky. So Whitey doing everything he can to keep that night shift working to make those runs.
Well, Oquendo with 8 sacrifices, so if you're going to squeeze, he's a pretty good man to try. But now to count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Full swing foul, and the count stays. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. 2 runs over here in the 6th inning, and a 2-2 tie.
Well, these are the guys that are tough in this spot. That's those contact hitters. I mean, Oquendo is not a home run hitter. He's going to really bear down on putting the ball in play. Tough to strike out.
Ground ball down to shortstop. Uribe to Thompson. Robbie to first. Not in time, and the run is over.
Pendleton got down there in a hurry, and it looked like Robbie once again was going to get upended. He really didn't get a whole lot on that throw. He got the ball on its way in a hurry. But Oquendo, pretty good speed. Now watch the pivot. Uribe gives it to him in good shape, but he kind of almost has to underhand it. And you can see that Pendleton was already down there. And Oquendo with good speed beats the play.
Now that's very important, especially for Atlee Hamaker. Remember that even though Bacchus came in to pitch to Brunansky forced a Hamaker man, McGee. That meant Brunansky really was still in charge for Hamaker. A looping single to right will send Oquendo to third. Maldonado's throw cut off by Uribe.
It's almost redundant to try to get somebody going into third against this Cardinal ball club on that base hit the right field. Everybody in that lineup goes from first to third.
Kurt Ford will now come out and bat for Steve Lake. Though I can hear Whitey Herzog's words before the game. Yes, Lake is starting, but don't be surprised if you don't see Pena, and we will. So Kurt Ford will come up and bat. On the bench, he still has Laga and Walker. Then he has Pena and Lawless, plus the switch hitter, Luis Alicea. Ford has remarkable numbers as a pinch hitter. Lifetime $299.
Tell you, speed is really, there's just no mistake in it. I mean, it can do so much for you. It never goes into a slump. And you think about Oquendo's ground ball, ordinarily, average runner, it's a double play. He just beats it out. They pick up a run. Inning is alive.
Here comes a good bluff at third. Oquendo came about 35 feet down the line. You wouldn't expect to see anybody try to steal home with a left-hand hitter at the plate, but boy, what a fake he put on. 0-2 the count to Kurt Ford. Oquendo at third, Pagnozzi at first. Ford is the 8th man to come to the plate, and the Cardinals have taken a 3-2 lead.
The left-hand hitter gives you a catcher a good view of the runner, but if that pitcher doesn't give you the ball, all you are is a spectator.
Or if he tries to change in the middle of the delivery, you have a balk or even a wild pitch.
You can't really knock anybody down because he's on the other side of the plate. So it's the pitcher's responsibility. He's looking right at him when you're right-handed, as Bacchus is.
0-2. And they pitch out because they're looking at Pagnozzi just in case the Cardinals were in a running mood. Might be thinking about a delayed double steal. 3-2 St. Louis in the 6th.
And Whitey, talking about Craig, says Roger likes to double pitch out. Now, he did the other night. I would tend to doubt he would do it here, but it's not unusual for Roger Craig to pitch out twice.
1-2. Bob Forsch, pretty good hitting pitcher, on deck. 2-2 to Kurt Ford. Pagnozzi, the runner at first. Interesting they would pitch out, but Pagnozzi doesn't do any running. He's a catcher, first baseman, third baseman. He has not been involved in a running play this year.
Not that much of a lead either.
Now 3-2, so he'll be going. In fact, with a full count and 2 down, Pagnozzi was gesturing to the dugout. I go, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't give Ford a chance to swing here as long as you got a 3-2. I certainly wouldn't come in with a fastball.
So Pagnozzi at first, Oquendo at third, 3 runs over, and the Cardinals lead 3-2. Pagnozzi holding his ground on a fake by Bacchus. He was well off the rubber.
And Will Clark way behind the runner at first base comes back as Bacchus was trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do. Look how far back he is. There's no way he's going to fake anybody.
3-2. Little ground ball wide of first to Clark. Underhands to Bacchus coming over, and the inning is over, but not before the Cardinals come up with 3 and leave 2. At the end of 6, 3-2 St. Louis. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
It began as an Oscar-winning movie. It became a blockbuster television series. See how Carol O'Connor and Howard Rollins began their beat in the heat of the night movie, Tuesday.
Saturday at noon, this empty, quiet space will come alive.
Round, round, get around, I get around.
With Lynch Motors Beach Party Sale at the fairgrounds. Low prices on fantasy vans loaded with style. Beautiful Bayliner boats from Del Rancho Marine. Trucks like you won't believe. Specially priced truck boat combo and the best body on the beach, this Honda CRX SI. Plus sale price sailboards from the Sport House with free dry land training. And a chance to win a cruise for 2 to Victoria. Make it early to the Beach Boys concert for the Lynch Beach Party Sale. But you'll have to wait till noon Saturday.
Hot summertime weather means those old tires are more dangerous than ever. So stop by Independent Fuel and Tire and take advantage of their summer tire sale. Steel-belted all-weather radials as low as $37.95. All other sizes also sale price. And these low sale prices include new stamps, mounting, and spin balancing. Brake work, tune-up, computerized front-end alignment, and auto air conditioning at Independent Fuel and Tire, 212 South 5th Avenue.
Solid Gold Soul heats up your senses with a special hour of the top R&B artists, all live on stage. Hear a hot hit from El DeBarge. See the gorgeous ladies from Expose. Feel the burn of James Ingram and the sizzle of Stacey Lattisaw. Plus a classic from Bobby Lewis and the comedy of Arsenio Hall. Let the music move you on Solid Gold in concert starring Marilyn McCoo.
Channel 23, KNDO, Yakima.
As we we go to the 7th inning, and the Cardinals leading the Giants 3-2. The Cardinals make a change, all right, but not the anticipated change. After they batted for Lake, we were figuring maybe Tony Pena would come in, but he's going to stay on the bench. Pagnozzi, who also can play catch or third. Pagnozzi behind the plate, and Kurt Ford, batting for Lake, stays in the game at first base.
You play for Whitey, you're going to play. You don't know where, but you're going to play.
Look at that. 10 different first basemen this year. So there's Pena. They also have Lawless on the bench. Laga and Walker, the left-hand hitters, and Alicea, a switch hitter. The Giants have plenty of room to maneuver, but they have only one left-handed batter. That's Harry Stillman. They're loaded up the other way with right-handed batters. So Mike Rourke and Whitey checking the card for the moment. And into the 7th inning we go. 3-2 St. Louis. Trying to make it 3 straight against the Giants. Trying to win 6 out of 11 from San Francisco. Ernest Riles doubled, fouled out. And he drives it to center. McGee started in on the ball, but he has plenty of room. 1 away, and let's go to New York to Marv Albert for an update.
Thanks, Ben. In Cincinnati, a most unusual situation. The play-by-play call of Reds broadcaster Marty Brenneman accidentally was hooked into the public address system, thus heard throughout the stadium, so the umpires called time to disconnect the distraction. I'm sure it was nothing personal against the Red broadcast team. They're in the 8th. Expos lead the Reds 1-0. Back to Vin and Joe.
Bob Melvin. One ball and 1 strike. Two strikes to count.
Bob Melvin has been able to hit that ball up the middle, Bush, with the 2-strike count, hoping that he would chase that bad curveball, but Melvin laid off it. He's just been kind of serving them right back to where they come from.
2 balls and 2 strikes to the Giant catcher. And he promptly goes to right center, and it's in the gap, and it'll hit that rug and go to the wall. Melvin going to second, and Fahey will stop him right there. So a 1-out double by Bob Melvin will bring up Jose Uribe. Melvin, big day, 3 for 3. 2 singles, a double, and 2 RBIs. So Melvin represents the tying run. Uribe and then the pitcher spot due up.
Herzog coming out to talk to Frank Pulley. I guess he's going to make the change because Pena's come in here from the bullpen. Must be one of those 4-for-4 switches or something going on here. Pena's come in. Herzog's going out to the mound, but before that, he gave Pulley a bunch of instructions.
He's taking Ford out. So what he's going to do, I think, is send Pagnozzi back to first. And Pena will take over behind the plate. That's like a game in the Sandlot. You know, you play here for this hitter.
This hitter, and then you go back. That's what he did when Oquendo was pitching at one time. He was running De Leon back from left field to right field, and he keeps people going.
And Larry McWilliams will be called in to pick up for Bob Ford.
From a folks who gave you Matilda Bay Original Fruit Cooler comes a crisper, drier taste. New Matilda Bay Special Dry. A drier way to take your taste away from the everyday.
How could Thompson's water seal be improved? It's great already. Well, Thompson's could apply itself. But we've improved Thompson's with 50% more active ingredients for more waterproofing power on wood, brick, and concrete. Thompson's, the first name and lasting protection.
Best Western means instant worldwide reservations for all my clients.
Wherever my tours go, I can depend on Best Western. Best Western has rates to fit your expense allowance.
Best Western has a variety and locations for any kind of meeting.
It has convenient locations no matter how you travel.
Whatever your reason for traveling, Best Western is the right place at the right price. With over 3,000 independently owned and operated hotels worldwide. So for Best Western reservations, call your travel agent.
Mom, where's my other red sock?
Oh, it's just a little stomach thing.
Mom!
I'm late.
I have to wear red socks or I look like a nerd.
I knew it. You're sick.
I forgot how bad diarrhea feels.
Don't worry. All you need is this.
Here it comes. The soothing relief of Pepto-Bismol. The one that coats is the only one you need.
Feeling better?
A-okay.
Great. Now, if I could only find Susie's red socks.
Did you look in the laundry?
4 times 6. 24. 4 times 7.
Get up and go. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Bob Forsch went 6 1/3 innings, so once again the Cardinals have to go to the bullpen. But Atlanta still has the fewest complete games in the National League. The Cardinals with 8, and the Giants with 9, Pirates 9. When Whitey Herzog decided to bring in Larry McWilliams, that automatically brought in Pena because Ford made the last out in the 6th inning. So the 2-for-1 switch gives Whitey an opportunity to put McWilliams in the number 8 slot, and therefore Pena, new in the game, will bat 9th, catch, and lead off in the bottom of the 7th. McWilliams will also turn Uribe around. So Jose 0 for 2, now batting right-handed. Melvin, the tying run at second, 1 out on the 7th. 3-2 Cardinals. Uribe, a fly ball to right, and a long fly ball to left. Ground ball wide to third, smothered by Pendleton, who gets up to get him. Fine play. That's his second dandy today. He made a wonderful play on Robbie Thompson in the 1st inning. The ball hit ahead.
There was some talk about Whitey wouldn't mind if all his pitches were left-handed, and that's the reason right there. With Pendleton at third and Ozzie Smith at short, it's just almost impossible to get a ball through that side of the infield. So if you can make him hit it that way, percentages are with you that they'll make the play.
Kevin Mitchell is now coming out of the dugout. He was originally penciled in the starting lineup. Then at the last minute, they lifted him in favor of the third baseman Riles. And now Kevin coming up to swing a bat for Randy Bacchus. Larry McWilliams going head-to-head with Kevin Mitchell. There's John Riley Costello down in the Cardinal bullpen. They're going to walk Mitchell intentionally, so Brett Butler will be coming up. Be 2 on, 2 out. Whitey doesn't hesitate to walk you. The other day, he broke that so-called rule of the book. He put the intentional walk, giving the winning run to first base, and got away with it. You see it rarely, but you see it.
You're looking at it now. The tying run is on at second base, and it's going to be Mitchell who's the lead run.
So we've seen him do it now. We're putting the potential winning run on base twice in the last couple of days.
I like that when managers do that, because otherwise it's that tired old managerial strategy where they come out, don't give him anything good to hit, and if he widens the strike zone and does hit a bad ball for a base hit, you as the catcher and the pitcher are not going to have a chance to tell that manager, hey, it was a bad ball he hit. All he sees is a run come in, and he's going to blame you. So he took the monkey right off everybody. The responsibility now is with Whitey, and that's where it should be.
Now you get the left-hand hitter, Butler, against the left-hand pitcher, McWilliams. Butler, with a bunt single, has hit in 11 straight. Robbie Thompson on deck. Strike. So Bob Melvin at second, Kevin Mitchell at first, 2 out in the 7th inning, and the Cardinals leading 3-2.
I think that Melvin will have trouble scoring on any kind of a decent hit ball because they're playing very shallow in the outfield. Any kind of a throw will get him.
Little sidearm job just outside, 1-1. Butler has 3 home runs, no swings, says Dutch Renner. 1-1.
Now he's talking to the fans.
What do you want from me? Larry McWilliams, 6'5" and about 180 pounds. He's all elbows and kneecaps coming at you. Curveball is dunked into left center field, base hit, and bouncing over McGee's head, so both runs will score, and Butler will wind up with an AstroTurf triple. And it is 4-3 San Francisco.
McGee got caught. He got caught. The strategy gets Whitey, burns him because the lead run comes in, but McGee looked like he had intentions of making the catch and then realized he wasn't going to get it. He was too close to the ball, and it bounces right over his head, and it's just one of those bad days, and Whitey, who took the responsibility, now has to pay. Here comes McGee. He's in too close right there. Now he's, oh, I'm in trouble.
And what it means, Melvin scores. That run is charged to Forsch, so he has nothing to do with the game. But the intentional walk to Mitchell and the score, that run belongs to McWilliams, and so does this one, as Robbie Thompson singles to left to bring in Brett Butler. So the Giants have scored 3 times in the 7th inning, and they take a 5-3 lead. So Whitey Herzog rolled the dice, and it came up snake eyes. So Butler triples in and then comes home on the single by Robbie Thompson. Now the batter is Will Clark. 0-1. In the inning, a double by Melvin. The intentional walk to Mitchell. That's the play that will be spotlighted. And then Butler, on a base hit that's turned into a triple, gives the Giants the lead. High twister back a third. Pendleton is there. So the inning is over, but not before the Giants get off the floor with 3. And at the end of 6.5, 5-3 San Francisco. Right now, here's another edition of Baseball Remembers.
Gatorade Thirst Quencher presents the 7th inning stretch. Gatorade is thirst aid for that deep down body thirst. This switch-hitting pirate concluded 1987 in the top 10 in batting. In 88, he's gone further, mixing power with average. Can you name this up-and-comer?
Got a big, hot, healthy thirst for Gatorade.
Feeding in fluids and minerals.
Want my whole hot body wet with Gatorade.
Supplying energy to working muscles.
No, there's something better when I sweat. I just got to get Gatorade.
When you're hot, nothing's better.
Gatorade is thirsty. Ooh, I got to get it for that deep down body thirst.
The Bucks' Bobby Bonilla bubbles over in talent. He possesses one of baseball's rare traits, power from both sides of the plate. This 25-year-old slugger batted .300 in his first full season in Pittsburgh. And defensively, Bonilla fills the Pirates' dance card at third base. After a stint in the outfield, he's really caught on at the hot corner. The future is bright for the Pirates and their #1 hitman, Bobby Bonilla.
Next Sunday, live from Wembley Stadium, the San Francisco 49ers battle the Miami Dolphins. American football from jolly old England and NBC Sports.
Johnny McWilliams back in the Cardinal dugout. A base hit that winds up bouncing for a triple, followed by another base hit. He's down 5-3. Another left-hander picks up the pitching burden for San Francisco, Joe Price. So Joe Price trying to preserve this one because Bacchus, who pitched the 6th inning, was a pitcher of record and could win it. Joe Price 0-4, 3 saves.
Then you were talking about a close stance before. Pena used to have a close stance, but Whitey has convinced him to kind of open it up so he gets a better look at the batter, straight ahead look, and able to handle an inside pitch.
Maybe it's paid off. He's hit safely in 5 of his last 7.
Whitey was saying he broke 13 dozen bats last year. That tells you something. I think that's a little bit overstated.
A little bit, huh? 1 ball, 1 strike.
But when he was hitting good, he would hit the fastball to right center field, and that's where they're playing him. Butler's over there in right center field. When he was trying to pull that ball, that's how you break the bat. Either the one way inside or hitting it off the end of the bat.
There's the deal and the numbers. And, of course, they're still trying to get out from under it because, among other things, looking at it again, you have perhaps the best center fielder all around in the National League, Andy Van Slyke. As fine a catcher as there is in the league in Mike LaValliere, and one of the better young pitchers, Mike Dunn. All for this man, so you can understand the pressure on Tony Pena, not to mention what it did to the intestinal tract and stomach of Whitey Herzog. 3-1. Right.
And yet when that deal was made, a lot of people thought the Cardinals had made a steal. And that's a case of where the fellows who were here, Van Slyke was not the ball player here in St. Louis that he certainly is in Pittsburgh. He had a chance to play, and he showed him what kind of a player he is.
The Pirates made some deals, and all of a sudden they're right there. And that's hit down the right field line, slicing and landing fair. Maldonado has to go up to get it, and Pena wisely holding on because Candy has a fine arm. So Pena flare to right for a base hit. So the tying run will be coming to the plate. Vince Coleman will be the batter. Coleman fouled out and struck out, but then he set a little fire in the 6th inning when he opened up with a walk, and before the dust settled, the Cardinals had scored 3. 5-3 Giants, bottom of the 7th. Right. Roger Samuel's a left-hander. Scotty Garrel's the right-hander. 0-1. Away, off to the right, out of play, and the count 0-2. Rick Russell and Jose De Leon in the final game of the series tomorrow. Russell 12-5, De Leon 6-7. There's Rick. He'll be going against St. Louis tomorrow. No balls, 2 strikes. Montreal finally broke that deadlock, taking a 1-0 lead now into the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Red Sox, Morgan's magic, 10 in a row, 11-5 over Chicago.
That is really some story.
Story. And there's strike 3 called on Coleman.
Coleman thought it was outside.
So 1 away. Coleman back into the dugout, and the batter is Ozzie Smith. Ozzie has grounded out twice and walked. 1-1, 1-0.
Morales is the outfield coach.
Jose Morales. had that 1-0 game we just saw, Montreal at Cincinnati. That was Bryn Smith and Jose Rio. Houston will have Andujar going against Shane Rawley tonight. And Hilligus and Smiley in the Dodger-Pittsburgh game. As Ozzie grew older, like good wine, he got better.
He's really gone into a physical fitness program.
And drives one into the left field corner, hooking in the corner, gone! Ozzie Smith, batting right-handed, hits his 3rd home run of the year. He hit one with 2 men aboard against Bob Nepper. That was the first one he had hit since 1985 in the league championship series against Tom Niedenfuhr. 5-5 in the 7th.
That's the one thing that the Giant bullpen could not let happen, because they had taken the lead, battled back, and to have the Cardinals come back in the very bottom of that inning and tie it up like that really takes the wind out of you.
Shot off the leg of Price, deflected into foul ground to Riles, and McGee is aboard with a base hit.
Started to get into Ozzie Smith and his physical fitness program. Mackie Schulstone, a pretty famous physical fitness guru, has been working with Ozzie, and he's got a whole routine he does, and then also a nutritional program that he's on. And the players are starting to go to him and working out with him, the same kind of a thing. And what he's done is bulked up. When you see Ozzie Smith in that clubhouse, he's got pretty good-sized arms and upper body.
So Ozzie Smith hits one against another left-hander. In fact, you can now add the name of Joe Price to Bob Nepper this year, Dan Schatzeder in 1985. His first Major League home run was hitting left-handed against Maddox of the Cubs. And then he had that big one in the league championship series against a right-hander, Tom Niedenfuhr. And that will be all for Joe Price in a 5-5 tie.
Read any good beer bottles lately? This one tells you that Miller Genuine Draft is the one beer that's cold filtered, not heat pasteurized. So we haven't changed the rich, smooth taste of real draft beer. And you know what's the best thing about reading this bottle? It leads to a very happy ending.
Special features coming your way from Domino's Pizza to ruin the noise day. It's a really big show, so don't be late. 2 regular cheese pizzas for just $8.88. Pay a bit more for toppings. It's all hot and fresh, because it's at your door in 30 minutes or less. Hurry, this won't last forever. Savings like these may be now or never. Domino's Pizza delivers savings.
Well, you know the bad news.
Charlie Carlson looks cool under pressure. But just because his shirt is dry doesn't mean he smells good. Because underarm odor is invisible, he needs Sure Solid. Sure helps protect against wetness and odor. So, Charlie, why go to work with a dry shirt and a false sense of security? Tomorrow, use Sure Solid and be just as sure about odor as you are about wetness.
I hear we have a new vice president.
Thanks.
It's the Quaker States Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebates, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $3.60 per case in your pocket, a great oil in your engine, and maybe a Porsche in your garage. The Big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
An American tradition continues. In 1956, he hit 43 home runs and led Brooklyn's beloved Bums to their second consecutive pennant. Edwin Snyder was the Duke of Ebbets Field. Now, Kirk Gibson powers the first-place Dodgers as they host the Houston Astros. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
Scott Scott Garrelts has come out of the Giant bullpen to pick up. It's been Hamaker, Bacchus, Price, and Garrelts. Scotty has 5 saves in his last 10 games, and he is a strikeout pitcher. McGee at first in a 5-5 tie. McGee stolen 28 out of 32.
I was really going to just say, Ben, it's the case of when is he going to go, and you see Melvin is just constantly checking with Craig. There he goes again to see if he wants a pitch out, because he's going to draw one.
And you figure if you're Bernansky, you're going to see an awful lot of fastballs right now. Fastball in there, 0-1.
With a guy like Garrelts, that's about all you can look for. He's going to show you a breaking ball, but his out pitch is that big, good fastball.
Roger Craig has to be stunned, absolutely stunned over what has transpired last night and now today. There's a breaking ball in the count 0-2. Hard slider down and away. Can you imagine last night you lose on a 2-run home run by this man, Jose Oquendo, his 4th home run of the year. Today you see a 5-3 lead go right out the window on a home run by Ozzie Smith. 2 unlikely home run hitters. And that takes care of Bernansky. And it looks like after 1 fastball, they got 2 hard breaking balls.
And the last one was out of the strike zone, which was a good spot for it because he's way ahead of the hitter. It's a waste pitch, but it's working for you. I mean, just a waste of pitch is ridiculous.
Strikeouts per inning, as you can see, when you talk about Scotty Garrelts being a strikeout pitcher, he has struck out 22 batters now in his last 20 innings.
McGee has really been studying Nick Levy over there.
So here's Pendleton, aboard on an error, single to right, single to left. We have a 5-5 tie in the 7th inning. Good ball game. 5 runs, 8 hits, and an error for each side.
I got to believe McGee just looked at his first base coach to get verification. He looked at him twice like, is it still on? Is it still on? Those are the kind of things you look for when a base runner gets on.
Willie's probably shaking the feeling that it's a bad day. Remember the throwing error, then playing a single into a triple. With the bat, he has 2 hits. But he's probably a little tentative. 1 ball and no strikes to Terry Pendleton.
With Melvin checking once again.
You know, that must be hard when you play this game every day. You do something badly in the first inning and not to have the effects of it linger the whole game. You know, like you say, oh, it's going to be one of those days, right? That attitude on the first tee. Hit the ball out of bounds, say, oh, what a day.
What a day I'm going to have. Willie wants to go.
Well, the count's his favor now. 2 balls and no strikes. Kind of a noisy 7th inning here. He really picked up the pace. 5-5. There he goes. And a check swing chopper to short. Uribe takes care of Pendleton. But the Cardinals get 2 to get even on a home run by, of all people, Ozzie Smith. And at the end of 7, a 5-5 tie.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
If you think you've heard all there is about aspirin, think again. Today, there's an even better aspirin formula, Anacin. Clinical tests show that Anacin relieves headache pain better than regular strength aspirin.
Anacin, a better aspirin formula. Now let me see. Big selection. No waiting. What else? Oh, yes, the big savings on Corolla FX options packages. And Camry, too. I could just get over there. Hurry home! Well done, man. Carry on. Oh, no. You can save big on Camry options packages, too. So...
Toyota's really big sales event. It only happens once a year, and it's happening now.
Right now, the only thing that would taste better than a nice cold one is a cold filtered one. Yeah, if you want a beer whose real draft taste hasn't been changed by heat pasteurization, got it down cold. Cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
This is Marv Albert in New York. As Vin mentioned a moment ago, new Boston manager Joe Morgan made it 10-0. This the Rapper. The Red Sox beat the White Sox 11-5. Red Sox have won 15 straight at home. They're only 3 games out of first. Back to Vin and Joe.
Next week, after the Dodgers have a trip that will carry them for 4 in San Francisco, they will go home and host the Houston Astros. So the Dodgers will have to do some hand-to-hand fighting with the Giants, and no rest for the weary because the Astros are 5 games back, and that'll be our game next Saturday from Dodger Stadium. It begins with an inside look. Line drive right by Larry McWilliams into center field, and Candy Maldonado's second hit. So now it's the Giants trying to come back and pick up the attack.
Left fielder, Mike Aldred.
Back in that 4th inning when Maldonado led off with a base hit, remember it was a, you see the Dodger graphic there. They've had their problems. I started to say they played a hit-and-run play and moved Maldonado into scoring position.
Strike to Mike Aldrete. Grounded out twice and flied to left, 0 for 3. We'll see if they would ask him to bunt. Down in the bullpen, the big man, Todd Worrell, loosening up.
That's something. If he is up to the bunt, your 5th place hitter. But you can see they're just not scoring that many runs. They got to win.
Top of the 8th inning. And he's bunting. In the air, foul, and out of play. Aldrete, by the way, has not bunted this year. So it's not as if you're asking somebody to do something he's accustomed to doing.
I tell you, after that bunt, I would not be surprised as you look at Fay to see Rogers switch it off and play hit and run, because that was not a very good attempt. It was a bad attempt. He kind of stabbed at it, popped it straight up, and what you can't afford to do now is give up an easy out like that and not pick up a base.
0-2 the count to Mike Aldrete. And he got the bunt down with 2 strikes. The play has to go to Oquendo. And Maldonado advances to second base. 1 out.
Roger was determined, and he got it.
Been an interesting game with Whitey Herzog putting the possible winning run on base and having it knocked in, only to then get a home run from Ozzie Smith to get him off the hook and tie it up. Now Aldrete, the number 5 hitter in the lineup, bunting for the first time this year. And Chris Spire will come up and hit for Ernest Riles.
And with 2 strikes, bunting. Put him on.
So Spire, who had 5 hits and hit for the cycle against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago today, will have the bat taken out of his hands, and Bob Melvin, the same Melvin who has 2 singles and a double with 2 RBIs and a run scored, on deck.
How do you figure this game? I mean, it is really a manager's game. You got the hot hitter coming up next, so they walk the man in front of him to set up the double play. You got your 5th place hitter bunting with 2 strikes. You're putting the lead run on. Whitey did. He gets burned by it. So the unpredictability of baseball. You're seeing it all in this game.
Remember, too, because of Herzog's maneuvering, the pitcher's spot is due up 3rd in the bottom of the 8th. And he's just checking it all out.
He's just exactly doing what you just said. He's checking to see Oquendo leads off, and he's got his 3rd place hitter up there. And that's why they marked that scorecard like that. Mike Rourke looking at it. And in his left hand, you saw that counter. He's counting pitches.
So Larry McWilliams, who was victimized by Butler's single that bounced over McGee's head, and then the single by Thompson, that accounted for the lead. Now Herzog is going to make a 2-for-1 change. Luis Alicea will be coming in. Pendleton made the last out, so I assume Pendleton is going to come out of the game. Alicea will probably play 2nd. Oquendo will play 3rd. And they'll bring in Todd Worrell. And that's what's going to happen.
Alicea brought out Oquendo's 3rd base glove. And he's moving over there. And now Whitey's going out to the mound.
So you can put the pitcher, Worrell, in Pendleton's spot.
And Worrell is known as a fastball pitcher the other night against Kevin Mitchell, starting him out with a hard slider. He just didn't come in and try to go by somebody. He did end up striking him out on the fastball, but it was a hard slider.
The other night here in St. Louis, it was no score in the ninth inning, and Worrell came in to pitch the ninth. And Mike Marshall hit a home run, and the Dodgers won the game 1-0. And after the game, Lasorda said, Worrell was not throwing the ball well. I watched him warm up, and of the 8 warm-up pitches, something like 6 were breaking balls, and he said that's not the usual Worrell. So that means in the dugout, you're watching a guy warm up as if it might be a tip-off to his stuff, huh?
Oh, yes, and the guy that's doing it on the Giant bench right now would be Morales, and you watch Worrell as he warms up, and there's a fastball.
Let's just see for the fun of it now. It's 1 fastball. He has 8 pitches. Let's see how many he throws. 2. This is not exactly going to be a series, but it's worth watching because it's a subject rarely discussed.
People think that they just go out there to loosen up. Now, that's 3 fastballs.
Waiting to see the slider. Not yet.
There it is. He just motioned.
Yep, that gesture with the glove.
And it was not a very good one.
No.
So he's thrown 3 fastballs, 5 sliders. There's another one with that glove. That's what tells you.
All right, that's 3-2.
3-2.
He's got 3 more pitches to go.
Slider again.
So now he's thrown 3 fastballs, 3 sliders, and he has 2 more warm-up tosses.
And I think that these 2 will tell you pretty much what his frame of mind is.
If you're Melvin, you're watching all this too, aren't you?
If you're not, you're really cheating yourself.
Breaking ball.
And you're going to get some help from Morales, probably.
So 4 of his 7 warm-up tosses have been a breaking ball. This should be a fastball. All right, so 4 and 4. I don't know what you'd learn from that. Maybe the way he did it. He started 3 fastballs, 4 breaking balls, 2 fastballs, and that was it.
If I'm Melvin and I'm looking for a pitch based on what I just saw there and what he did to Mitchell the other night, I would look for a breaking ball until I got at least 1 strike. If he throws me a fastball for a strike, I'm dead.
All right, Maldonado at second, Spire at first, and here's Melvin. 1 out in the 8th inning, a 5-5 tie.
I'm looking breaking ball.
And Melvin looking so hard he has something in his eye.
All his great strategy and an eyelash takes over.
5-5 in the 8th, 1 out. Cardinals in double play depth. Pop foul, yep.
So I'd have a strike on me for not swinging. Melvin's got a strike for swinging.
Right, same thing. Now he's looking to see if there might be some kind of a play. You don't have any speed. Maldonado has a lot of talent. A very good judge of a fly ball, wonderful arm, a good hitter. The one thing he doesn't do well is run. He's probably below average in running speed. Check swing and a looper, foul out of play.
There was the breaking ball right there.
So Melvin has seen it now. 1 fastball, 1 breaking ball. Worrell had a save Tuesday against the Dodgers, and it was his first save since the 8th of June. In 13 appearances, he went without a save and had 1 win and 5 losses. 2 of the losses were shockers, a grand slam home run by Franklin Stubbs and a 9th inning home run by Mike Marshall here the other night. Breaking ball just missed. No swing, says Randy Marsh, and the count 1-2.
I tell you, he's in great shape now to throw whatever he wants. He's got Melvin really wondering. I would think he'd just fire one now.
And when he fires and he's right, he can get up to about 94. Fastball, fly ball to right field. Bernansky is there. The runners will hold. 2 down. That's the fun of baseball if you know just enough to look for it. You know, otherwise you think, well, a guy comes in and he warms up. But there's so much more to it. So the next time you go to the ballpark, pay attention to those little things. It really adds to the enjoyment of the game. So Todd Worrell working on Jose Uribe. Worrell
now 4-7, but he has 19 saves.
Also not the most popular guy with the Cardinal front office. He's been very outspoken about a lot of things here.
Yeah, I guess like all the pitchers, he still feels some resentment that they lost Jack Clark. Well, 1-0. Uribe flied to right, flied to left, and then was robbed of a hit on a fine play by Pendleton in the 7th inning. Pendleton has made 2 fine plays, but he's gone now. Remember, Oquendo is playing third. Alicea is playing second. Fastball looped to Ozzie, and that's it. So Worrell comes in and gets Melvin and Uribe. The Giants lead 2, and at the end of 7.5 innings, a 5-5 tie.
Introducing a light potato chip with a country fresh flavor. New Pringles Light Ranch. And guess what it's missing? A lot of the fat in their regular potato chips. But you'll never miss it. And it's missing a lot of their salt. But you won't miss it.
New Pringles Light Ranch, made with sour cream, buttermilk, and herbs for so much country fresh flavor.
You'll never miss what's missing.
It only happens once a year, so it's big. And Toyota is closing more truck deals than ever. On top of big factory-to-dealer incentives, special 4x4 options packages can also save you big money on options like chrome bumpers, styled steel wheels, tinted glass.
For a really big 4x4 deal,
Splendid.
Toyota's really big sales event.
So, you ready to have a good time tonight?
This is it, man.
I'm all right. I'm just hyperventilating. Even if that first joke bombs, you still got to laugh.
This next guy I'm going to bring up is his first time in the club tonight, Mr. John Campanella.
This is as real as it gets. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
I spend 3 to 5 hours a day talking to my clients on the phone, buying and selling for them. So when our phone system packed up the other day, it was impossible. It was a mess. I make my livelihood on the phone, my commissions. Without a telephone, I'm broke.
Bottom of the 8th inning in a 5-5 tie. Chris Fire, who batted for Ernest Riles, stays in the game at third base. And it'll be Jose Oquendo, followed by Tom Pagnozzi, and then Luis Alicea. Oquendo 0 for 3, but his force play in the 6th inning chased in a run. And it was a tie-breaking run. She gave the Cardinals a 3-2 lead. It's been a great game. Giants led 2-0. Cardinals took a 3-2 lead. Giants led 5-3, and now it's 5-5 with 1 out.
You know, it's been a ball game, Ben, where the dramatic home run by Ozzie Smith is a big spotlight that. But it's been a game of little things. The ground ball by Oquendo, the steal by Coleman, the double steal, things like that really how you make a run. There's been many different ways in this game that we've been shown that.
Well, here's Tom Pagnozzi, who lined out, flied to left, and singled 1 for 3. I had to think of it. You know, many years ago, there was a mass murderer in England. Now, that seems like a wacky thing to laugh about, and he was definitely not in his right mind. Fastball is popped in the air to shallow right. Coming is Maldonado, and he trapped the ball. He trapped it. That's a base hit.
That's what he did in the league championship series, but didn't come up with it. Remember, the lights got him as he slid, and I think that if he caught the ball, he wasn't sure he had it himself. Tell me about this, guys.
Anyway,
is this real?
It's a real story. And he's on the witness stand now, and the attorney says to him, "Tell me, sir, why is it when you killed all these people, you killed each one a different way. And this loony guy put his index finger up to his head, and he said, there are many, many ways to spread the parsley around the fish. And when you were talking about all the little things, all of a sudden I thought of that. There are many, many ways to spread the parsley around the fish. And that's been this game. 5-5 in the 8th. Pagnozzi at first, here's Alisei. I know.
If I tuned in today's game, it's the first game I ever saw, I would say, I listen to two guys tell me about parsley, Hitler.
That's right. And some baseball. 0-1 the count. Scott Garrelts with 1 out, 8th inning. 5-5. Out away. Alisei is an interesting case. He's not a very big man, and we all know him as an infielder. But he was actually a left-hand throwing and left-hand hitting outfielder. And his father said to him, you're not big enough. He's 5'9", about 160 pounds. You got to play the infield. And he made it to the major leagues.
Yes, he has, and he's a dedicated young man. In fact, you talk about fish. Whitey Herzog uses a fisherman's expression, which he loves to do, talking about Alisei. He says, he's a keeper.
Hey, it's kind of got you now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Let's spread some parsley here.
Well, we'll spread a K in the book around the name Alisei. 2 down, and Tony Pena coming up. Where else, right?
Where else but in England?
When the Giants come up in the 9th inning, they are due to have the pitcher's spot, and then Butler and Thompson.
Well, look how deep he is in the batter's box. I think I'd have to question whether he's even in it.
In what?
In what was supposed to be the batter's box.
0-1.
You know, when you open your stance like that, what it does, it gives you a good look at the hitter. The head is straight on as we look at that stance once again.
I mean, he looks like he's out of the box, doesn't he?
Sure does.
Cased it, 0-2. So Scotty Garrelts, a strikeout pitcher with 2 strikeouts in 2 innings in a 5-5 tie. Vince Coleman, the leadoff man, on deck. Pagnozzi at first, 2 out. Totals are identical. 5 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. Fisted right to Robbie Thompson. So Pena is jammed. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 8 good ones, Giants 5, Cardinals 5. Next week, we will be at Dodger Stadium as the Dodgers and the Astros will tangle. The Astros are 5 games back of the Dodgers. They have also won 5 straight, as their problem has been on the road. The Astros are a very good home team, but they are 5 games under on the road. That'll be a pretty good confrontation. And for the Dodgers, it's a rather remarkable season when you realize, we showed it to you briefly, what's happened to that ball club. Guerrero is in Albuquerque working out. Bob Welch, one of the mainstays, was traded away, and one of the men they got, Alfredo Griffin, has missed 56 games. But the other, Jay Howell, has been a mainstay in the bullpen.
Well, that's a mystery, that next one, Ben.
Fernando Valenzuela, with a team out in front, a team that has been in first place for almost 90 days, is under 500 with an earned run average of almost 4.5. And then Mike Davis, who hit 22 home runs last year, struggling with only 2 home runs this year. And yet, with all of that, they're in first place, leading the Astros by 5 and the Giants by 7. It has been remarkable.
If you would have said Guerrero would have missed that many games, you would have figured most of the firepower is gone. But you got to give that Gibson a lot of credit. You see him practically every day.
Yeah, Gibson has been outstanding. The shortstop, Dave Anderson, and Johnny Lewis was talking about him in the dugout. He said, here's a fellow who played sporadically and didn't play really very well. Suddenly, he's playing 50-some-odd days in a row and playing brilliantly at shortstop. His back has held up. He's been hitting 270 or 280. He's been one of the unsung stories of that year. And probably the biggest thing for the Dodgers, the bullpen. They not only have the people who are known like Jay Howell and Jesse Orozco and Alejandro Pena, but two fellas most fans wouldn't know very much about at all, Tim Cruz and Brian Holton. Together with the others, it's been a great pen.
The unexpected source, Leary, the way Leary's pitching.
Although I had the feeling when Leary learned that split-fingered fastball in Mexico, he only won 3 games last year. But I really had the feeling if I ever saw a guy who could be the next Mike Scott, it would be Tim Leary. And he has really turned it around. He has 4 shutouts, 9 wins. He had 2 1-0 victories to win. And the Giants will be seeing the Dodgers for 4 prior to that series with Houston. So this story is yet to be written, and it's a most interesting one. 9th inning, and Scotty Garrelts will lead it off. How about that?
There's another one for you.
Out away. So the pitcher leads off the 9th on the road in a 5-5 tie. The Giants have used Bacchus, Price, and Garrelts, and Hamaker started the game. And they're coming off an extra inning game last night. 0-2.
Scotty's had 2 pretty good swings off of a real hard-throwing Worrell.
And he hardly gets any at-bats. He's a closer. He's only had 5 at-bats all year, and he's 1 for 5. 0-2. Garrelts, Butler, and Thompson. If anybody gets on, Will Clark.
Cheated, I'll say that for him. 2 fastballs and a slider, and he's got pretty good cuts at all of them.
With only 5 at-bats, he has struck out once of the 5 trips, but he's in a hole now, 0-2. Fastball got him. He might have chased it. It was borderline around his shoulders. Down he goes.
He was going to swing the minute he released that one.
Big crowd here today, 42,072 paid, over 43,000 in the house. The Cardinals are right up almost to the 1,000,009 mark in 48 days. And they could very well get to the 3 million mark again this year. Fouled away by Butler. He is back to the box, had a bunt single, slide to left, and then had a key hit. It was a single that bounced over McGee's head, and the kangaroo hop meant 2 extra bases. It was a triple, and he scored on a single by Robbie Thompson.
They really don't expect Butler to be able to pull Worrell. They're playing him like he were a right-handed batter.
0-1 the count. 1 down, 9th inning, 5-5 tie. If you're not keeping score and you wonder about the Cardinals in the bottom of the 9th, they'll have Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, and Willie McGee. Fastball missed, 2-1. Atlanta giving the Mets a bad time, 5-1, so that news will be received happily in Pittsburgh, among other places. San Diego leading the Cubs 2-1 in the 4th. Ground ball under the glove of Oquendo and down the line, and Bettler's going to go for 2. Coleman's throw, he is in there. Right under the glove of Jose Oquendo. It just wouldn't come up for him.
Ball was hit hard, but you wonder if Pendleton was there. He made 2 fine plays. If Pendleton couldn't have made that play because it was right at him. Oquendo tried to backhand that ball, just couldn't do it.
And it'll be an error. Charge to Oquendo.
Tough error.
Boy.
Tough error. Butler, he's got 2 base hit on his mind from the minute he leaves home plate.
So in there in a cloud of dust. So a potential tie-breaking run at second, and here's Robbie Thompson. Alicea going to the bag to try and shorten the lead of Butler. And that was enough for Worrell to back off the rubber. Robbie Thompson, robbed of a hit by Pendleton, struck out, grounded out, single. 1 for 4. Worrell, who summed up this year, he said, I'm like the Midwest. I'm in a drought. But they need him desperately. 0-1. Butler, good running speed, a tiebreaker at second, 1 away. And Will Clark on deck. Plate umpire Cooley hollered no, so no swing, and Randy Marsh indicated he agreed, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike.
He was going to bunt for the base hit to get Clark up there because he's got everybody back. If he were able to push that ball past Worrell, he'd have had a cinch base hit.
1-1. And to the bag goes Alicea. Breaking ball, and he has to count his way now. 1-2 on Robbie Thompson.
Made 2 great pitches to Thompson, both on that outside corner. If Thompson hits that ball, he's not going to drive it anywhere because he's almost like bailing out with that pitch.
1 out in the 9th inning, a 5-5 tie. Alicea to the bag. About 5 pounds of St. Louis real estate there, scooped up by Brett Butler.
Same location. 3 of them right there in the same spot. 2 breaking balls in the fastball, and I don't think he could reach it.
So Robbie Thompson strikes out, fails to advance the runner, and let's see if they take the bat right out of Will Clark's hand. Remember, he's been walked intentionally 15 times this year. He has walked a total of 64 times, and it'll be the same old story. Roger Craig sees his best hitter pushed aside as Clark gets the intentional walk.
He's ready, though. If Worrell gets that ball a little bit too close, I think he's going to whack at it.
Andy Maldonado is on deck. The Giants only have 1 left-hand hitter available as a pinch hitter, and that's Harry Spillman. They've already used Mitchell, and Spire is in the game. So the hitters on the Giant bench are Brenly, Nixon, and Youngblood. So Maldonado will be coming up to go head-to-head with Todd Worrell. Clark for the 16th time, the leader in walks, standing at first. Butler, a potential tie-breaking and winning run, is at second. And Maldonado, who has 2 hits today, 2 for 4 coming up.
The last 2 times he jumped on that first pitch. Got a base hit his last time up, right back up the middle.
So the Giants with speed at second base. And he hits it to center, but coming up for it is McGee, and it's going to land for a base hit. That gets a run in, and stopping at third is Clark. McGee, who was burned in the 7th inning, was not going to be burned in the 9th. There was no chance. So he let that ball come to him, having already had one bounce over his head. And for Maldonado, his 3rd hit of the day, and a run batted in.
Looked like he hit that ball off the end of the bat. He didn't really drive it, and it was just perfect to land there, and all McGee could do was wait for it to hit and come up with it. First pitch, it's like a breaking ball off the end of the bat, and Worrell's reaction, you can see it. He knows it's going to drop, and that's all McGee could do.
Let me ask you, 9th inning, if you're McGee, would you have tried to catch that ball?
I think I'd have tried everything. I think I'd have got a little closer, yes.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think Willie could very well be psychologically affected about what happened early in the game, the throwing error, then the ball bouncing over his head. And it just seems like he's lost his aggression in this game. Remember on the base paths, he barely had a lead.
Yeah. Well, you know, Maldonado's one of those guys, too, takes the big swing, and that may have fooled him because he didn't break for that ball. He just let it drop and knew it was going to be in there.
And what a time, 9th inning and 2 out. That's line to right, but right there's Bernansky. However, the damage has been done. The ball under Oquindo's glove that was ruled an error is cashed in. And at the end of 8.5 innings, the Giants 6 and the Cardinals 5. It's time to work on the ball. Of course, the Giants, they're leading 6-5 in the bottom of the 9th inning.
That looks like a pitcher, Don Robinson, doing that.
He's a pretty good hitter, too, isn't he?
I know, but what is he scraping the big barrel of the bat for? Usually you scrape the handle to thin it out, and he's scraping the barrel.
Well, here come the Coleman leading it off. A slicing fly ball down the left field line. It will drop foul untouched and kangaroo up into the seats. 0-1. Coleman fouled out and struck out, walked and scored a run and struck out. And, of course, Scott Garrelts certainly does not want him to get aboard because if anybody seems to ignite the Cardinals, it's Coleman. Garrelts with 2 strikeouts in 2 innings and now bidding for a victory. A bunt, foul.
That's going to be the next statistic, I think, Ben. You know, we got the closers and the setup and quality starts. It's going to be the igniters. How many rallies did you ignite? An igniter.
Boy, that's his job. And he is 0 for 3 with a walk. In the 6th inning, he opened up with a walk, and 8 men came to the plate, and the Cardinals scored 3 to take a 3-2 lead. Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee to follow. Out of the way.
I think what Garrelts said with that pitch was, I'm not about to work on you. Yeah, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to try to throw strikes with every pitch.
Coleman is hitting .271. He has 2 home runs. 21 runs batted in. 0-2. Fouled off. Coleman, despite the fact he has only 2 home runs, strikes out a bit. Struck out twice today. He's close to 70 strikeouts.
That's the thing that's amazing for a singles hitting ball club, how many strikeouts they have and how few base on balls by comparison.
Whitey says, I know they're not hitting, but they're also not swinging. Breaking ball got him, and that's the 3rd time today that Vince Coleman strikes out. It is the 3rd strikeout for Scott Garrelts. The Major League Baseball game of the week brought to you by Domino's Pizza, because Domino's Pizza delivers. By Toyota, there's quality, then there's Toyota quality. You could ask for anything more. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold-filtered draft beer. It's as real as it gets. And by today's Howard Johnson. We're changing a lot of minds. Beautiful day in St. Louis. 1 out in the 9th. 6-5 Giants. And Ozzie Smith, the batter. Foul ball.
Just in case the numbers, to talk about the number of strikeouts, before today's game, the Cardinals have struck out 486 times. The opponents 503. They only walked 293 times, and the opponents 292. So for a, if it was a free swinging ball club, you could understand it.
0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Coleman with 69 strikeouts, and that is tops on the team. Now, that's a fellow with only 2 home runs, leading the team in strikeouts. 1-2. Ozzie Smith, however, does not strike out very often, much less than 10%. He's facing a strikeout pitcher. The big story in the 7th inning, Ozzie hit a 2-run home run against left-hander Joe Price. 1-2. Big chopper to Will Clark. 2 down in the 9th inning. Friends, the executive producer of NBC Sports, Michael Weissman, the coordinating producer for NBC Baseball, Harry Moore. The telecast of today's Game of the Week, produced by Ricky Diamond, directed by Richard Klein. Pre-game produced by Ramon Plaza. Pre-game directed by Joe Michael. Technical directors Steven Cimino and Richard Sansevier. So the Cardinals are down to their last out. They have a 4-game winning streak. The Giants with a 2-game losing streak. The Cardinals 2 games out of the cellar. They haven't finished last since 1918. McGee is 2 for 4. 1-1. The count to Willie McGee. No finesse from Garrelts. Hard fastball and hard breaking ball.
Spire at third base, really guarding the line, even though Willie bats from the left side. Look at that.
2-1. So Garrelts now has McGee 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You talk about doing the little things and how to watch a ball game. Right now, if he throws a curveball, I think that's anywhere near the zone, Willie's going.
Away off third, well back into the crowd. 42,072 paid, over 43,000 in the house, and they've seen a wild game. Giants led 2-0, Cardinals led 3-2, Giants led 5-3, then it was 5-5, and the Giants lead 6-5. Breaking ball rolled to the right side. Robbie Thompson to Will Clark, and that's it. The Giants come back with a run in the 9th inning and win the ball game 6-5. Scotty Garrelts, the winner, he's 2-4. Todd Worrell, the loser, he is 4-8. And the game-winning RBI was Candy Maldonado in one of the more interesting games we've seen this year.
It really had a lot going for it. You saw the Cardinals, as we talked about it when it was happening. It was really a 9-to-5 job, how they manufactured runs, a base on balls to Coleman, a base on balls to Smith, and there were infield outs and double steals. But the Giants kept battling back. I tell you, like you said, Vin, the story of this pennant race has not been written yet, even with the Dodgers out there.
Absolutely, and of course, the Dodgers with Sean Hilligus and John Smiley tonight. Meanwhile, last we saw, the Mets were losing, so the Bucks will be really bearing down, trying to pick up a game in the Eastern Division. This week's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game. A salute to Brett Butler. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Brett Butler to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Don't forget our Game of the Week next week. The Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers. It all starts at 3 Eastern Time with Marv Albert and the pregame. That's next Saturday right here on NBC Sports. 6 runs, 10 hits, 1 error for the Giants. 5 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for the Cardinals. A Cardinal 4-game winning streak is gone, and so are we. For Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully saying so long from St. Louis.
This broadcast has been a presentation of NBC Sports, proud to be the network of the Summer Olympic Games.